Are you looking for a high-quality education provider? Are you looking for an educational institution that is 100% focused on Black history? Well, you have come to the right place. At AE Learning, we provide exceptional African history education, training, resources and courses to an international customer base. At AE Learning, our e-learning courses deliver high-quality content and support teachers and students alike, ensuring that they have what they need to achieve their learning goals. Go to aelearning.net to select from our comprehensive library of multimedia e-learning courses. Our courses come complete with tutorials from our African history teachers. Within our e-learning courses, you will also benefit from high-quality videos to assist in your learning. Throughout our courses, quizzes and examinations are provided so you can test your knowledge. A generous library of downloadable resources complements your learning, and in addition, there are materials to read through. Go to aelearning.net to learn more. AE Learning, your source for quality African history education.
Peace, family. We are live again. Donnie Samir, search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button. You guys know the drill. Please hit that like button. Make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. Got a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone citizenship is back on. Sierra Leone citizenship is back on. In fact, I need to renew my passport this year. Again, I need to renew my passport this year. My passport is expiring December 29th of this year. So when I go back, I'm going to go renew my passport. So citizenship is back on in Sierra Leone. And once again, Sierra Leone is the only country that has consistently had a transparent process, or has a transparent process for the diaspora to gain citizenship. Now, there was a hiatus last year in 2024, but it's back on. They've changed the rules a little bit. So you have to come twice now, and you have to wait a year in between each visit. So every April and December are going to be the swearing in ceremonies. And then you have to come like the previous April or December to get your passport. So for example, I got a group there now. They're going to get their passports next April. The group I'm bringing in December, they'll get their passports the following December. And then the great thing is the group that I brought this past November, they're going to get their passports this December coming up. So yeah, Wildflower, we're going to get into that. Like, in fact, I'm going to play an interview from Ryan Cogler, I'm sorry. And what she said straight up, like, it's Kugler. I'm tripping. Kugler. I apologize. I'm all over. Kugler. I'm sorry. Ryan Coogler, on what he says, like, this is African. He said specifically, a lot of what you see in the movie, the spirituality portion, the twins, it comes from Nigeria. That's what he says. And FBA, you know, they're going to gloss over it and ignore it and all that. But like the title says, FBA, ADOS, you cannot run from Africa. You can't run. You know, you can't. And FBA ADOS culture is a mixture of European, African, and a small dab of Native American. Is what it is. But I'm gonna play. Yeah, they're gonna call Kugler a tether. Yeah, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna say Kugler's a tether. That's what they're gonna say. But I'm gonna play the video, the interview with him and Michael B. Jordan when he's talking about like the spirituality of the video. I mean, of the movie Sinners, the twins. It comes from West Africa, and then he says FBA. We come from West Africa. Then he mentions Nigeria. I'm gonna play it out of the horse's mouth. So yeah, so Sierra Leone, and also they're accepting more DNA test results. So African ancestry is not the only test provider they accept now. So they accept African ancestry, ancestry.com, 23andMe, and CRI. Now, 23andMe is going, well, they went bankrupt. So they're still accepting the results, but in the future, I'll be finding out soon if they're going to replace 23andMe with like a My Living DNA, for example, and accept those results. So I am taking another group in December. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa. Again, if you're interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. Also, we're going to Senegal next month for the Jazz Festival. But that trip is filled. Then we're going to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. Namibia and South Africa in November for Amapiano Dunes. And then we're going to Sierra Leone in December for the first process of the citizenship process. So please visit donfo.africa to learn more. And guys, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to play this interview hold on, wrong screen. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. And then we're going to have a discussion. And he mentions FBA and the influence Africa, West Africa, and Nigeria in particular has on FBA. ADOS. You guys can't run from it. No matter how much you try, you can't run from it. As you come to the chat room, please hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. All right, here we go.
So nice meeting you.
Nice to meet
Very
you.
nice meeting you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember me. For Creed 3, I was the one introducing you to the community playground for
Yes,
you.
you did with the mural
Exactly.
and the community. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's great. How you doing? Good seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again. And the community
Awesome.
playground is doing great as
Doing
well.
great?
So, yeah, it's
Love
doing
that.
great. I'm here today to talk about this new movie of yours, Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
And my first question is about your friendship, actually, because I have seen a lot of the movies you did together. Today, you're definitely a duo. I want to know, how did you guys grow together, not only as artists, but today also as friends?
Man, I think I met Ryan at a time in my life where I was figuring out what type of actor I wanted to be, what type of career I was going to have. You know, I've only done like ensemble, movies or, guest stars and been on television shows, but, wanted to, every actor at some point wants to know if they could lead a movie, and carry a film. And for me, that was Fruitville.
I'll tell you what though, when we wake up in the morning, we're going to play Candyland.
And when I met Cool, we hit it off immediately. Had a lot of things in common, similar kind of upbringing, but just from different coasts, from different places. And he was like the first guy to really, first director to really like tell me. Changed my entire life. He's always seen something in me and pushed me to dream bigger of myself. So to say I appreciate you, Ryan. And
what's going on?
Both athletes, we know how it is to be team players. We're not good.
Sorry about that. Is that my Obama internet? Is that my Obama phone acting up? Hold on, I got strong Xfinity Wi-Fi, and I'm getting the circle of death, as they call it, on my end. Is that my Obama? Did they switch out my Xfinity with Obama Wi-Fi? Hold on, y'all. Did they switch out? Did y'all hate us find a way to switch out my strong Xfinity internet with Obama Wi-Fi with the Obama phone. Oh boy.
How important chemistry it is. Chemistry is when you're trying to achieve a goal, and we just hit the ground running. And before we even shot one frame of Fruitvale, we were already talking about what the next project was going to be, and I think that really kicked up my ambition even more.
Take this one. He don't like talking too much, but if it wasn't without him, we wouldn't have this movie. So,
and over the years, we've been involved in each other's lives, personal lives, seen each other's families grow, and it's been a
Y'all, that I don't know what's going on. No, I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta. They don't want me to be great today. Yeah, they don't want me to be great today. Guys, hit the like button. I don't know what's going on. They do not want me to be great today. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Somebody said Donnie's finally got caught stealing his neighbor's internet. Man, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Yeah, I kind of want to start it again from the beginning because yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's that again. Somebody must have came in here while I was sleeping and switched out my Xfinity Wi-Fi with the Obama phone Wi-Fi. All right, we're gonna try it again. We're gonna start from the beginning.
So nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice meeting you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember me for Creed 3. I was the one introducing you to the community playground for
yes,
you.
you did with the
Yeah,
mural
exactly.
and the community. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's great. How you doing? Good seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again. And the community
Awesome.
playground is doing great as
Doing
well.
great?
So, yeah, it's
Love
doing
that.
great. I'm here today to talk about this new movie of yours, Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
And my first question is about your friendship, actually, because I have seen a lot of the movies you did together. Today, you're definitely a duo. I want to know, how did you guys grow together, not only as artists, but today also as friends?
Man, I think I met Ryan at a time in my life where I was figuring out what type of actor I wanted to be, what type of career I was going to have. I've only done like ensemble, movies or, guest stars and been on television shows, but, wanted to, every actor at some point wants to know if they could lead a movie, and carry a film. And for me, that was Fruitvale.
I'll tell you what though, when we wake up in the morning, we're going to play Candyland.
And when I met Coop, we hit it off immediately. Had a lot of things in common, similar kind of upbringing, but just from different coasts, from different places. And he was like the first guy to really, first director to really like tell me, I see you as a movie star, and we're going to kind of show the world that, and it kind of gave me that confidence, a little bit at the time.
pairing up with Kooks changed my entire life. He's always seen something in me and pushed me to dream bigger of myself. So to say I appreciate you, Ryan, would be an understatement. My gratitude to you for believing in me is never ending.
And then, we just created a really, good shorthand. We're both athletes. We know how it is to be team players. We know how important chemistry it is. chemistry is when you're trying to achieve a goal. And we just hit the ground running. And before we even shot one frame of Fruitvale, we were already talking about what the next project was going to be. And I think that really kicked up my ambition even more.
Take this one. He don't like talking too much, but if it wasn't without him, we wouldn't have this movie. So,
and over the years, we've been involved in each other's lives, personal lives, seen each other's families grow, and it's been a long lasting friendship. So, this is the first time that we've actually worked together as lead actor and director in like a minute.
Yeah, 13
years. So it felt great to kind of get back in that rhythm.
Also for you, Ryan, this is also your first time doing a horror movie. I needed to ask you this question. Why twins? Why twins in this movie? I think a lot of people ask you that question, but I just wanted to...
Here we go. Listen, guys, make sure you pay attention and listen closely. Why twins? Here we go.
For myself.
Yeah. That's actually I haven't heard that one.
Really?
Why twins?
Yeah, why twins?
Yeah. I haven't gotten that one.
Look at the poster. It's a story primarily about Africans in America. If you know the history of foundational Black Americans, they come from West Africa, right?
I'm gonna run that back. He led with Africans in America. That's what he led with. Not we the Indians, not we the Hebrews, not with the FBA, ADOS. I ain't no African. Let's listen real closely.
The history of foundational.
I think a lot of people ask you that question, but I just wanted to know for myself.
Yeah. That's actually I haven't heard that one.
Really?
Why twins?
Yeah, why twins?
Yeah. I haven't gotten that one.
Look at the poster. It's a story primarily about Africans in America.
The story is about Africans. The story is about Africans in America. So he first acknowledges that we're Africans, the FBA are Africans. Emphasis on it. Africans in America.
If you know the history of foundational Black Americans, they come from West Africa.
History of foundational Black Americans who come from West Africa.
Right? In Nigeria, there is a deity, a twin deity in the Yoruba religion.
So he's using and leaning on Yoruba religion, not the FBA religion, which I don't know what the FBA religion is. I don't know what an FBA religion is. But he's leaning on Yoruba. He's integrating Yoruba religion in the movie.
Yoruba people over-indexing the birth rate of fraternal twins. It's a thing that we reckon with. And I was born into a family that's littered with them. Like, so my mom's older sisters, Marilyn and Curlin, Monty Curlin was my godmother. And so my whole life, I could always tell them apart, even though they're completely identical, just by how one holds her face. You know what I mean? Like, they could come into a room behind me and I can know which one it is. So I have a sensitivity towards this very, very rare, still small, very prominent human condition. You know what I'm saying?
Michael, you did explore twinship this time. It's your first time playing twins.
Correct.
Playing yourself twice, finally. Did it help you? Did it help you to even yourself show maybe like two sides of yourself? The one we see, the one we don't.
All right, guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room and let me get your feedback. Link is in the chat room. Let me get your feedback. Call in. You can add to the conversation. I saw the movie. It's a good movie. It was a good movie. Yeah, but link is in the chat room. You're more than welcome to call in. Go ahead, Quincy.
Oh, hold on. Can you hear me? Just
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Cool. Hey, Dennis, do you Serious question. Do you think that these lives that you have, if there was a Black American on the fence about, say, if they're in the middle of maybe embracing, the whole delineation movement, FBA, ADOS, or going the Pan African route, do you think, like, which way do you think they would lean if they listen to your lives?
It depends on the person. I don't know.
Just I'm saying they're in the middle. They're right in the middle.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I'm telling you, man, because I was one of those people that was on the fence. But I'm telling you, man, you actually do more harm to Pan Africanism with these lives than good.
Okay.
So
Well,
as
don't.
far as the movie goes,
Well, Quincy, don't go. Don't go to Africa. Don't be a Pan African. It's okay.
oh, I've been out Pan African, so that's all good. But as far as the movie goes, Rod Coogler is a Pan Africanist. You know what I'm saying? So he's like Dr. Umar. So of course he like Umar also says he said we're the American African. So Ryan Coogler, he does speak in that same manner because he is a Pan Africanist. But this movie, like I said, the odd thing is when he did Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, right? Those were, of course, Black Panther also had Killmonger and African American view in it, but those two movies were about Africa, right? Hands down, cool. Everybody kind of threw their dashikis on, had a moment, cool, right?
Okay.
Is literally about Black American heritage in the South, in Southern America, right? And the idea that y'all still trying to make it about Africa is the epitome of the problem, and why more and more people will go the ADOS route or the FBA route. It's because it's kind of like y'all just don't even give people space to just enjoy being Black American. This movie, yes, he mentioned Yoruba with the Yoruba twins, but we all know all Black Americans didn't come from Yoruba as far as the slave trade. Black Americans do have African ancestry. I mean, if anybody denies that, that's wild to say, but we do, right? But the idea that even in this moment where Ryan Coogler said it out of his mouth, he said he was in Byron, Georgia, on just a Breakfast Club interview. He was in Byron, Georgia. He saw cotton fields for the first time. Charlamagne asked him how did he feel. He said he felt guilty because he spent so much time being Pan-Africanism, trying to connect to Africa, which are his ancestors 400-500 years back, that he skipped right over his Black American ancestry, which is 100 or 200 years back. Go look at his Breakfast Club interview. That's literally what he said. So that birthed this movement where he's giving honor to his Mississippi roots, to Black Americans and whatnot. And the idea that even with that, y'all still trying to say, oh, it's African, it's African, it's African. It's like, come on, man. Like, can we say, like, can we?
Quincy, do me a favor. Put the link to that interview in the chat.
I'm driving right now.
Okay, put the link to it in the private chat and the minute mark, and let's check it out.
Oh, it's his Breakfast Club. Hold
on. So Quincy, put the link in the private chat and put the minute mark where he says that, and then we'll play it.
Hey, Dinas,
hold on, Jado, I'm not done yet. So Quincy,
Dinas, did you hear what I just said? I said I'm driving. So
okay,
like I'm driving. Now I'll try to look for it, but I'm telling you I'm driving. But look, he literally said it. I can look for it. But
okay, well when you get a chance, if you pull over or get to your final location, just put the link in just send the link in the minute mark of where he says it, so we don't have to, because I mean the Breakfast Club interview is like an hour long, hour and some change.
Yeah.
I'm saying we don't have time to look at the whole hour Breakfast Club interview. So just somebody's in the chat, put the link in, or at the very least put the minute mark where he says that when he saw the cotton fields that what did you say he said?
Yeah. He said he was in Byron, Georgia, and he saw cotton fields for the first time.
Okay.
And Charlamagne asked him how did he feel, how did it make him feel, and he said he felt guilty because he was Pan-African. He was reaching back to Africa, which is 400 or 500 years removed, but he felt guilty about skipping over his Black American ancestry, which is 100, 200 years removed. That's what he said.
Okay,
so this movie is a birth of that, to celebrate his Black American ancestry. And I'm just telling y'all, man, y'all got to give Black Americans space just to enjoy ourselves, man. Because if you don't, that's when you get people pushing back against Pan-Africanism. Like when it's time to celebrate Haitian Independence Day and Sac Passe, we ride with Haitians. When it's time to celebrate Nigerian and Niger to the world, we celebrate them. When it's time to celebrate Jamaican Independence Day and Jamaican, we celebrate them. But then suddenly, when it's time to celebrate Black Americans, it's African.
Quincy, I'm asking a question. What's Black American culture?
Which part? Which part? And which
well,
region?
no, I'm just saying, what's
Which
Black
part
American?
and which region?
What's Black American culture?
We talking about the South? We talking about music? You talking about cuisine? You talking about lingo? You talking about
just in general? What's Black American culture?
Okay, food. We got soul food. We ain't gonna play dumb like we don't.
Okay,
when we speaking, we got ebonics. We got a way of talking, just like Jamaicans got patois. But y'all won't disrespect patois, even though that's another to a certain degree broken English. But we got our way of speaking too. They call it ebonics. They call it AAVE. However you want to call it, black slang. Whatever you want to call it. We got ways that we know how Black Americans speak that's unique to us.
That I live in the South. I would say the Black American slang is no different from the white American Southern vernacular. It's the same. I mean, there might be some words here and there, but Black folks in the South talk like white folks in the South. I live in the South. You there? Jay Dello, go ahead, Jay Dello.
Hey, Dynas, how you doing, man?
Shout out to
you, shout out to the platform, shout out to everyone on here. For all the FBA folks, I just want to ask two questions, right? So, number one, they said that Black folk were here before the Europeans and whatnot. So, what language did they speak before the Europeans came? What major city did they have? What civilization did they have before the European came? And if they built that culture before the Europeans, why don't they practice that indigenous culture today? Number one. And then number two is God, I forgot my second question. But number one is definitely that. Why is it everything is pretty much based off European culture, the language they speak, the kind of foods they eat, even soul food. Soul food is based off of derivative of Southern white American culture. And then my second question is, I'm not going to count Liberia because Liberia wasn't necessarily a sovereign state in the way that we picture. If the Black Americans were here before, right, the foundational Black Americans were here before, why, when the Europeans came, why didn't they fight for their own sovereign state to build their own civilization like we've seen so many other people or other groups of people have? So those are my two questions.
You came to this live to get answers to those questions? You didn't go read a book?
I'm sorry?
You came to this live to get answers to those questions?
No, I came to get a FBA opinion on it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If you want to get FBA input, this wouldn't be the live to go to.
Well, I mean, aren't you FBA? Couldn't you answer that?
No, I'm Black American. I prefer Negro or Freedman.
Okay, so I'm
FBA by lineage, yeah. ADOS, FBA, Freedman, Black American, African American, whichever one to call it.
Okay, so do you believe that
I'm not afraid to answer those questions. What I'm saying is, if you want to, you should go to an FBA space if you want to ask FBA those questions.
Aren't you FBA? Why can't you answer?
You didn't hear what I was saying. I said I'm Black American. You didn't hear what I'm saying.
You also said you're FBA.
Yeah, Dynas is FBA too. Want to ask Dynas a question? You FBA too?
I'm FBA, but I'm Africa first. So
yeah, but you still FBA. So ask Dynas.
Yeah, by definition, I'm Africa first. So I mean I'm FBA, but I'm.
I just want to know, if you guys were here before the Europeans came, what major city?
Well, Jay Dello, see, that's the issue, and so that's why I want to ask the question. Hey, what is FBA culture? You got folks claiming FBA saying that they Indians. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just asking, what's FBA culture? Like I said, FBA culture is a mixture of primarily African and white culture with a dab of Native American, a small dab, but it's white.
So all of the degeneracy in black American and FBA culture, that's African too?
Excuse
Or is
me?
it only the good stuff that's African?
Say that again?
All the degeneracy, all the stuff that you look down on in the
Mhm.
FBA culture, is that African too?
It might be. It might be.
Hold
Because
on, Jay Dullo. He's
I see the
asking me.
same
Jay
behavior.
Dullo, he's
Yeah.
talking to me. Chill out.
Yeah.
No, so the actual degenerate stuff comes from British Isles, from the Great Britain, Irish.
Oh, okay.
culture.
So
That's where it
all
comes
the
from.
good stuff comes. Okay, and all the good stuff of FBA culture come from Africa.
I'm not saying that, but the degenerate stuff definitely comes from Irish, British Isles culture. That's where it comes from.
Gotcha. So none of the bad stuff of FBA culture comes from Africa.
What I
But
was
Okay. Well, Quincy, give me an example of bad.
you tell me. You the one that's
Well, you said bad. I'm saying you tell me. You brought it up. You said bad, so just give me an example of bad.
I wouldn't say broken families. That was more of a last generation thing. Most of the broken families. What would you want to say? I don't like the N word. I don't like how the N word. I guess
I don't either.
Yeah. So I would say that. I would say I don't know, but I know you do have a negative view of FBA culture. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't have a negative view of it. I just think it's you can't. I understand the delineation is just pretty much for money, but the reality is FBA culture is white and African culture, a gumbo mixed together. That's what it is. And
so when we arrived on the slave ships, we were able to retain some of our culture. We weren't stripped of everything. We were on the slave ship.
No, we retained some of it. You can see. In fact, if you go to Mobile, Alabama, you got the Gullah Geechee from Savannah all the way up to Charleston. And if you go to places like Galveston, Texas, you'll see some of our African culture, and really, and especially New Orleans.
New Orleans.
What part of New Orleans? Well, in New Orleans, I mean, you'll see a lot of African culture in New Orleans.
I'm in New Orleans all the time. My wife is from New Orleans. I'm in New Orleans all the time. That's why I'm asking you what, because I don't see it.
You have the hoodoo, you have the New Orleans voodoo, specifically New Orleans voodoo in New Orleans. That's African.
Yeah, but you have to go to like a house, a specific. I'm talking about an everyday.
I'll give you one. Second line. That's straight from Benin. That's straight from Benin Republic. That's straight from Benin Republic. Straight from Benin Republic.
I read an article about that, and I can't recall it, but it didn't say that. But I can't recall, so I ain't gonna argue with you about it right now.
The second line is straight from Benin Republic.
If that's the case, then why New Orleans the only ones that do it? Why didn't it spread around the whole South? Since Black Americans all come from Africa, and we all within the South. Then why is only specifically New Orleans who did the second line?
Some people didn't hold on to it as they left the South.
All right, man. So
yeah, but second line is definitely African.
You ever been to a second line?
I just seen it on videos and stuff. But when I see it,
I had a second line on my wedding. There's nothing African about it. I'm telling you.
Nah, second line is definitely African.
But back to my original thing. I got to tell you this quote that kind of stood out to me, man. And it said, one of the problems with Pan-Africanism is that it does not allow for space for African Americans to clearly differentiate ourselves to the point of wholeness for ourselves. So, and just hear me out when I say this, man. I'm telling you, a lot of what you get from FBA, ADOS, a lot of the pushback is really because like I said, like I started out with, people don't want to give Black Americans space just to be and embrace who we are. Everybody got to attribute it to somebody else. Everybody want to stake claim. It's kind of like LeBron.
Yeah,
James. Everybody want to say they had a hand in LeBron winning. The cousin who handed him a basketball. The one
that's night and day. That's night and day.
No. That's exactly. Everybody want to stake claim to. And it's funny how it's not. I'm not gonna answer that. But everybody want to stake claim to it. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say. Imagine if on one hand we had white people telling us, as Black Americans, telling us we nothing, we never did nothing, never created nothing, blah 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 blah, right? And then on the other hand, we got Pan-Africanists and Diaspora telling us, well, if you did create something, and anything you do create, oh, that's because of Africa, and even some of them even say it's because of the Caribbean. So you can see how it coming from both sides. Like it's like, so on one hand, I ain't nothing, I ain't never did nothing, but I can't even get credit for what I do create, or because that goes back to somebody else. And
No,
I'm telling you, that's
you get credit for it, but there's a root that it comes from.
Yeah, but
I'll give you an example. Michael Jackson, the moonwalk, he got it from Fred Astaire.
Okay, but what does giving credit entail? Because if we say, if ADOS or FBA folks say, yes, we have African ancestry, yes, we do acknowledge that we have African ancestry, cool. Is that okay? Is that enough for y'all? Or do y'all want people to praise Africa and bring Africa to the forefront of everything that we do?
No, I mean you could claim your FBA, you could, and all that, but it's just the root of it is still African and European. It's okay.
Yeah, but Danish, you have lives all the time. I mean, I'm sure you got grandparents and stuff. You don't talk about your great grandparents all the time, and they the root of you.
Yeah, and then I'm quick to tell them the root is African.
No. I'm saying you do what you do as a person. I think you went to UGA, played football, and all of that, right?
Right.
Cool, and those are your achievements, right?
Right.
And if you get praised for it, you get praised for it. Cool, but it ain't like you get praised for it and you say, "Oh well, make sure you get love to my grandma. Make sure you get love to my great great grandma every time." I done heard you.
And Quincy, that's what athletes do. Like when an athlete wins the Heisman Trophy, he thanks his mom, he thanks his dad, he thanks God, he thanks his community.
No, that's when they win an award. I'm talking about everyday conversation. And everyday conversation, like, you know what? And to that point, that's why, like, this is a big moment with that movie, right? It's a big moment. A lot of money went into it. So yeah, Raku is going to give a nod to Africa because hey, this is a big moment. So let's show a little love to the ancestors. Cool, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly. Right.
Everyday conversation. Yeah, and I'm saying everyday conversation. Folks don't give Black Americans that space. Folks want Black Americans to prioritize and highlight Africa every time we do something. And it's like, damn, man, like I'm telling y'all, that's how you lose people. If you don't give people space to be themselves,
well, Quincy, if they can't deal with reality, then it is what it is.
But Dinah, I just say
if I tell an FBA like, hey, what you're doing right now, second line is a derivative and comes from the Dahomey, if President Benin Republic, if they can't accept that, it is what it is. If they get offended and they're pushed away, then it's what it is.
Dude, I gotta look it up. I'm telling you, I read about that, and
I am telling you, from a guy that travels to Benin every year for the Voodoo Festival, that second line comes from Benin via Haiti to New Orleans.
No, don't even do that. Don't do that, Haiti.
Don't do what? Don't do what? But Quincy, you know what's interesting? I'm gonna tell you the problem. No, Quincy, you know what's interesting? If I go to a Haitian and say, Haitian woman or man, your culture is rooted in Africa, I won't get an argument. It's only Black Americans that get offended for some reason.
No, I'm telling you why they get offended. They get offended because you just said they can't accept the truth. I just said, hey, if you acknowledge, yes, we have African ancestry, that's the truth, but that's not enough. So I think you're being disingenuous because it's not simply enough to acknowledge the truth. You want us to put, if you want to do that, then cool. But other Black Americans, we don't feel like we need to put Africa at the forefront of everything. Yes, we will acknowledge that we got African ancestry. Cool. Yes, we do. But like I said, we got a whole lot of cultures. We got a lot here in America that we're proud of, and we want to highlight that. We're not going to wave the African banner every time, and that's what you're not being honest about. Simply saying yes, we have ancestry is not enough for you for Pan-Africanists. Pan-Africanists want us to dismiss our identity and get some kind of universal Black African identity. You know what I mean? Like let's be honest about it. It's not enough. You're not satisfied if we just say, hey, yes, we have African ancestry. Cool. Now let's go back to what we're doing. No, that ain't enough. No, you want
that's fine. But like I said, if I go to a Haitian and say, hey, Haitian, your culture is rooted in African culture, they're not gonna get offended. Other groups of people, if I go to Brazil, to Bahia, and say, hey, your culture is rooted in Africa, they're not going to get offended. It's only Black Americans that get offended for some reason.
Because those cultures aren't harassed about trying to put Africa to the forefront like that. Y'all recognize Brazilian culture.
Ain't nobody harassing you. Ain't nobody harassing you.
Hold on. You just said, so you sitting there acting like people don't run up to Black Americans and be like, yeah, you got that from Africa. If I sneeze and I create the dab and the dab becomes a dance, somebody can come out and say, you know what they do to
and what I'm saying, Quincy, if I do the same thing to a Haitian, they're not gonna get offended. And it come up with a term called foundational Black Haitian. We got to delineate.
You're ignoring the why. Black Americans get offended because y'all keep, because it's not enough to just acknowledge it. Y'all want us to usurp get rid of our identity and put Africa first.
But Quincy, all I'm saying, I'm gonna pass the mic, is that Black American identity is rooted in African culture and some European culture. That's just the fact.
And then what we would do with it? If we go back, if we move along, if we say, okay, yeah, that's true, and if we go back to doing what we're doing, is that enough for you, or do we need to bring Africa? I know you want Africa at the forefront.
I mean, what do you mean? It's what it is. It's just you can do whatever you want to do, but that's just the root. It's still Africa, and it's still the British Isles.
Are you ignoring what I'm saying on purpose? Are you missing what
I'm saying? What am I ignoring? What am I ignoring? You can do what you want to do. It's still the root is Africa and the British Isles.
No, we can't do what we want to do, because if we don't put Africa first, then hey, y'all come mad at us because we're not putting Africa first. Even if we acknowledge,
I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody.
Ryan Coogler sat here and had a whole movie dedicated to Black Americans and Black Americans in the South.
Right.
You made a space taunting FBA and ADOS, said, see, it's African. When Ryan Coogler literally,
I said, no, Quincy, and I'm gonna pass it to Jamal. Again, you cannot outrun or run away from Africa. That's all I'm saying.
Running away from Africa, but we also ain't prioritizing it in our identity. I think that's the difference. We're not running away from it, but it's not prioritized in our identity. I think that's the disconnect. Pan-Africanists want us to prioritize Africa in our identity, and that's where you get pushed back.
Okay, let me pass it to T. Jamal. Go ahead, T. Jamal.
Good evening. Thank you for sharing the stage, Dynast. I am from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Both my parents from Atlanta, my grandparents from Georgia, my grandmother's from Atlanta. I can trace my lineage in Atlanta back to 1910. And at no point have I ever been offended by African being a part of my lineage. If you go back and you read Martin Delany, 1800s, you read David Walker, 1800s, you read Mariah Stewart, 1800s. These are people who were well-read, well-written in the midst of enslavement, who were fighting on our behalf. Real Black people, 100% Black. And in their writings, you can find us in the midst of our enslavement, directly after, during the Reconstruction era, and any time period up to Garvey, way before Garvey. We are mentioning ourselves as African. We are connected to that root, even though it's been 300 plus years of us being in this land. We understood that we were not in this land, we were in this land forcibly. And even if there is evidence, like the Easter Island heads, of us being over here, there's stories that Mansa Musa's older brother was actually the heir to the throne, and he sailed west and never came back. And then Mansa Musa took over the throne, right? So there is possibility that we were in the Americas prior to us coming over here involuntarily. But that does not invalidate that person still originated from Africa. It's not a down on our accomplishments to acknowledge the root. When I went to high school, we learned world history. There were 3 chapters on Greece, a small little island country, and 2 chapters on Rome, a city. Why do you think that is? Because these people want to continuously perpetuate that their lineage, their ancestry was the start of civilization, even though it's not true. And we have multiple years of research to prove that. Centering Africa in our conversation does not diminish accomplishments from African Americans. And if you read the works of true Pan-Africanists, I don't know who these individuals are who are the Pan-African attacking Black Americans. The first time I heard this ADOS conversation, it was rooted around reparations and us wanting to differentiate who would get access to reparations. And we were causing more division within the African diaspora. Not that there already isn't division. We were creating another level of division based on access to funds that nobody has even promised us, that America, even if they wanted to, would not be able to afford to give us. Do I believe in reparations? Yes. But I am a proponent of reparations from England to their colonies and their enslaved. I believe in reparations that France owes Haiti and Martinique its freedom. I believe in reparations for Black Americans who were enslaved in this country. We're owed that. We ran the economy of these countries. France's whole economy tanked when the Haitian Revolution happened. If you read the history of the Haitian Revolution, they said, now that we are free, any Black person that comes here is free. They were not saying, okay, we don't acknowledge anybody else. They did it on behalf of us all. So I'm trying to understand what the division is. What is the contention other than us fighting ourselves in a preeminent battle over reparations that America has not even promised?
Jamal, the root of it is getting the check. It's the pie in the sky reparations check. That's what the deal is.
That's what I'm saying. It's not even guaranteed. It's not promised. We're still fighting for it.
So Jamal, if I can interject one more time, I'm sorry. It's white man, please. We're not them. Can we get a check? That's what it is, Jamal. Go ahead.
Yeah,
it's deeper than that.
To me, it sounds ridiculous. And if it's deeper than that, how is further differentiating ourselves from one another? We already have different identities. We already understand that people from the islands, their culture took a turn from Africa that was different from the way African Americans' culture took a turn from our African origins based on our surroundings. You can look I've lived in Guinea, I've lived in Senegal, I've lived in Peru around Black Peruvians. I've been to the Philippines. I've traveled the world. And when we have these conversations, when I have conversations with people in the African diaspora that are on the ground in those places still, they want to connect to us. They are readily acknowledging that a lot of their pop culture influences come from African Americans. So I'm trying to understand where the diminishing comes from. I'm not oblivious to the fact that there are people who come to the United States who are immigrants from the Caribbean or Africa who have negative stereotypes of Black Americans. But also I grew up again in Atlanta, and the first way that you attack somebody is calling them an African booty scratcher. Some dumb shit that we learned from somebody else to attack and diminish ourselves. The shit sounds minstrel, but that's all I have to say. This shit is stupid.
No. I gotta pass the mic to Bobo. Go ahead, Bobo.
Just a question, brother. You said
no, brother. Hey, hold on. One mic, Quincy. Like you're on your Obama phone, Quincy. I think you're still in your car. So when you get stationary and you can talk, go ahead and call back in. But it's just the static is coming in bad. Go ahead, Bobo.
Yeah, just one question to the brother that was just speaking. You for FBA?
Vovo, what's a full FBA? Hold on, Jamal. What's a full FBA?
I'm a full FBA. I'm full-blooded Black American.
No. So Vovo, per Tariq Nasheed, FBA, as long as you have one FBA parent, you're full FBA.
No, that's not true.
That is true. That's true. That's true.
Let's not even go down that road.
And in fact, Bobo, there's no.
Read the website. Just read the website.
There's no such thing as full FBA anyway.
We'll just read the website. Just read the website.
I read the website.
No, I'm talking about for the chat. We gonna go in circles. I see what you're doing. You want to muddy
but
up.
That's what it is. Full FBA. Come on, man.
Well, I'm saying that it's not. And you, whoever watching this, you be the referee. You be the referee. I'm saying it's not. I'm saying it's clear as day on the website.
Bobo, I'll get to the website, but specifically on the website, it says if you have at least one FBA parent, you're FBA.
Got you. No, it's full. I said full. You asked what was full FBA.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Boy, you is slick down this. You slick, man. You slick. I ain't gonna lie.
You asked me a question. You want to answer?
Yeah.
You asked me a question. You want to answer?
Yeah.
I said it at the beginning. I am from Atlanta, born at Grady. My mother born at Grady. My father born at Grady. My grandmother from Atlanta. Her father born in Atlanta, 1910. My grandfather paternal born in Georgia, Sandersville. My lineage is American. Okay, I acknowledge that. But at no point do I feel like acknowledging my African ancestry diminishes that. You asked me a question, I already said it. If you were listening, if you were listening, not to attack, but if you were, because this whole conversation doesn't do anything but separate us.
You taking away my time.
Okay, go ahead. You asked me a question. I answered it.
Simple yes or no question. I'm for FBA. That's yes or no. Yeah, I'm for FBA. I ain't got no immigrants in my family. My last name, my surname, trace back to a slave to a plantation in Rough Edge, Georgia. That's just one of my surnames. All right, but let me say this, right? You asked to give credit to Africa for all of our good stuff. And anything bad about us, you give it to the white man, bro. That's disingenuous. I see what you're doing. You hustling. You hustling. You gotta keep the conversation going. I got it. I don't know why you would do that to us, but it is what it is. This is a good thing. We're on the right side of history, whether y'all like it or not. The delineation is in. Whether you like it or not, the delineation is in. He's calling himself an FBA. He's using foundational Black American. That's locked in now. That's locked in. It's never going to go backwards. We're not going back to Africa. Y'all can go, but yeah. But it was so much stuff said. It was something. You were saying that our root is in Africa. No, it's not. We've been uprooted. When you uproot something, that ain't the root no more. It's been planted in the new soil. We created a whole new culture that's different from anything else in the world. Anything else in the world. No, nobody. You ask, what is Black American culture? Our music, our resistance struggle. We have a culture of resistance. Well, that's our whole culture been resistance. Our music is resistance.
But what was integration?
What do you mean?
You said resistance.
It's still resistance. Resisting not to be treated like a second-class citizen. No, I say this all the time up here. White man got a nice car. I'm getting me a nice car. He got a big house. I'm getting me a big house. He get paid $80 an hour. I'm getting paid $80 an hour. That's our idea. That don't come from nowhere else in the world. Everybody else to this day is okay with the white man making $80 an hour and you making 10 cents a day. That's all over the world. $1 a day. Most of the world make $1 a day. No, we said no. It's gonna be a minimum wage, and we gonna get paid the same amount as you. I'm gonna get the same. I'm gonna get everything you got. If you living good, I'm living good too. You not better than me. That's our culture. That's our culture. We have a resistance culture. Our soul food come out of resistance. We had to take the scraps and we turned it into a delicacy. And now everybody here Jamaicans talking about Jamaican soul food. I seen the show last night. Ethiopian fried chicken, Ethiopian soul food is made. The difference is we use the Ethiopian spice and then we fry it and double fry it. Man, that weird ass shit.
Where does fried chicken come from?
Black America.
That's a lie. It comes from the Irish. It comes from the European.
No, it don't.
Yes,
no, it don't. Well, then why they ain't frying it today? Why they ain't frying it today? To try to give
fried chicken is not
give our culture away. How can you give our culture?
Fried chicken is not.
Okay, bro. All right. I just wanted to just
exclusive
get this
to Black America. Scotland. I'm sorry, Scotland. There we go. Scotland.
All right, all right, Scotland. Listen, bro. We understand what you're doing now. I didn't get it at first, but here's the thing, right? Just let me get a couple more things on the record. You said that you don't know what a FBA religion is. Our religion is Southern Baptist, Black Southern Baptist. That's our religion.
That's white Jesus. That's European. That came from you via slavery. Come on, man.
That's our religion.
If you guys want to claim,
we were slaves. We were slaves. That's a part of my culture. I'm not offended by that. That's a fact. Black Southern Baptist is that's our religion. I live in a Black American community today. I live around my community about 90% Black Americans from slavery, the foundational Black Americans. It was when you drive down to church today, everybody got their Sunday's best on. Everybody got their Sunday's best on. Everybody going to go eat after church. Everybody, the city like is in the vibe of the city today is like a relaxing vibe. Everybody's going to church. Everybody's going to eat after church. We're going to a Soul Food Sunday. That's our culture.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? So
if I can just get this off, because I'm not gonna get that much time. So many
what
people.
What would you call? You said resistance is your culture. You said Black regular Sunday church going is your culture. So what would you call it? Sunday going that Nigerians go to every Sunday?
That's your business. That's your business. That's your
question.
Listen to what I'm saying. Can I please finish? This desperation trying to attach yourself to us is actually a good thing. I like y'all doing that. Because that's how we get motion. Because we own the hearts and minds of everybody. So that's how we get motion. That's why these other people ain't got no motion, because don't nobody care. So I like the bad people talking about it, the negative people, the good people, the white people, the African, the East Indian, everybody talk about us. Please. That's how you get motion.
Hold on. You haven't in this mental space that everyone is speaking about you.
I'm almost done. No, you is. You in this space right now.
Let Vovo finish because I got to pass.
I'm almost done.
Okay. Vovo, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. Our food culture. That's our culture. Our religious culture. That's our culture. Our music.
I'm lost on the religious part though.
What?
I'm lost on the religious culture part.
Why? Go to a white church and then go to an FBA church.
Okay. So I'll give you an example, Vovo. I'm gonna give you a time. So when you have the Holy Ghost, or when Black people get in the spirit, I can attach that to Yoruba and Voodoo religion especially in Voodoo when a spirit mounts somebody and they go into a trance. That's where it comes from.
Well, I don't believe that. You know,
but that's the truth.
I can attach drinking water to Yoruba culture. That's something that's unique. Our Southern Baptist roots, that's something that's unique. We had the best preachers in the world come from Southern Baptist culture. Nat Turner, Malcolm X,
Malcolm X was a Southern Baptist.
What?
Malcolm X is a member of Nation of Islam.
Where do you think his root came from? Who you talking about? Malcolm X? Malcolm Little, the son of a preacher man? Who, that Malcolm X? We talking about the same Malcolm X?
Malcolm X is very clear that the religion that Black people were practicing, the Christianity, was the white man's Christianity. He was very clear. He was very clear on that.
His roots, the son of a preacher man. Let's remember that. The son of a preacher man. He watched his father. He used to talk highly of his father. You ever read his book? His father was a big Black man from the South. But
the point I'm making, he was very specific that the Christianity that Black folks practiced was that of European white influence.
Here's my last one. Mute my mic. We've been uprooted from Africa, so don't try to dub back now that we successful. Now y'all want to dub back and try to shame us and do that to us. The brother Quincy was right. That turned motherfuckers off. That's nasty, bro. And y'all on the wrong side of history, Donis. I don't know. You seem like a man that cares about your legacy. This shit you doing right now, bro, that's some sucker shit, bro.
Okay, let me pass it to hold on. Who's next? Dre's next, then Big Black. Go ahead, Dre.
Yeah, I noticed that oftentimes when we have these conversations, when it comes to delineation or when it comes to Black American culture, a lot of Pan-Africanists, they tend to generalize us in this African bag by saying that we're just all African and we don't have any other mixtures, or that we haven't.
I didn't say that, Dre. I was very clear on the European influence. Very clear. Go ahead.
But what I'm saying is, like, I don't understand why we are always deemed as being Eurocentric just because we live in a Western country, as opposed to all other parts of the world because in Africa, there are 24 countries that speak English. How come nobody talks about that? Are they white just because they speak English in Africa or parts of Africa?
Yeah, but they still speak their indigenous languages too.
But that's their official language. Like in 24 countries, that's their official language.
Right, and I would say that's
So,
definitely European influence. Yes.
yeah, so they've been colonized. A lot of the countries over there have been colonized. So how can they be less Eurocentric than we are here? I mean, I just don't I don't get that. So what my point is that I feel like what we're doing is that we're trying to make this connection that just doesn't really exist because we are 400 years removed from that. So it's like
I would say this, Dre, and I'm gonna pass you back to Mike. Black people in America are the only group of people who had their own, we'll say, restaurant. All right, we'll call it Keisha's, and say, you know what? I don't want Keisha's chicken salad sandwich. I'm gonna go all the way across the town so I can eat Karen's chicken salad sandwich. And when Karen said, "Negro, I don't want your money," black folks fought so they could eat Karen's chicken salad sandwich. No other group of people did that.
How does that make sense? Why would you say they were more?
That's the truth. That's the truth.
How is that the truth? How is that the truth?
That's what happened.
I don't believe that, man.
What do you mean you don't believe that?
You're making that up.
It's called the sit-ins. It's called the.
So are you saying then that Black Americans?
Dre, I'm gonna give you another one. So I'm gonna give you another one. When they had the Memphis bus boycotts, there was a black pastor, a black entrepreneur that said, "Hey, if these white folks won't let you sit at the front of the bus, if these white folks will let you sit on a bus, I will buy your own buses." You know what MLK told them? Nah, we just gonna protest and boycott. We're the only group of people that did that.
The only group of people. See, this is what I'm saying. Y'all always say we're the only ones that do everything.
Even today, hold on, Dre. Even today, black folks are talking about boycotting Target instead of saying, you know what, we're gonna put our money together. We're gonna buy, a 2-acre lot and build our own Target and put them out of business.
How can you do that, and how can you compete with the white business? Because we know that most black businesses cannot really compete like that. So even by the message,
where's this $9 trillion? So where's this $9 trillion spending power, Dre?
No, they said $2 trillion.
Okay, I'm sorry, that number? I'm saying $2 trillion. I'm sorry.
I don't understand why people think that $2 trillion is a lot of money. It's not really that much when you think about it. And also, too, people don't really measure their wealth by buying power. They measure their wealth by production and manufacturing things or ownership. So why are we even saying, oh, we got these $2 trillion in buying power, as if that's going to be a way to have some type of leverage or power or whatever? How is that going to leverage any type of power in any way? Because Dr. Jared Ball already
other groups of people
all of that nonsense. The black buying power
have done it. Other groups of people have done it. I used to live in LA. The Hispanics did it.
But how much do they have in wealth? I mean,
Dre,
I think they measure their wealth by buying power.
Like I said, Dre, black folks said Keisha's chicken salad sandwich is no good. So I'm gonna go out of my way to another group of people who said, Negro, and I'm being polite, they said the other N word, we don't want your money over here. And we said, nah, we're going to eat your chicken salad sandwiches anyway. And we had cafeteria and lunch sit-ins where they were spitting on us, throwing milk on us, yelling at us. Well, we could have just ate our chicken salad sandwiches in Keisha's neighborhood.
So in other words, are you saying that we're most likely to kiss up to white people more so than everybody else in the diaspora?
Absolutely. We got a history about it over it. We brag about it.
That's not true at all. We have a lot of these Africans and Caribbean people come here to be the buffer class, and they come here to undermine Black Americans.
Ain't nobody undermining you, Dre. We undermine each other.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Dre, Dre, give me one mic. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. We have FBA politicians who are more concerned about illegal alien criminals being sent to El Salvador than they are their own black children being able to read in their own black communities.
But you also got a Caribbean, you got Caribbean politicians like Byron Donalds that said that everything was better under Jim Crow when he said that the black family was together under Jim Crow. In other words, he's romanticizing Jim Crow. So how is that something that we should be proud of?
All I'm saying is black people, FBA, ADOS, we undermine each other more than any other group of people, period.
That's not true.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I got to pass the mic. Go ahead, Afro Man. Go ahead, Afro Man.
Yes, hello. Good evening and good afternoon, whatever time zone that you are in. Once again, Dynast, interesting discussion. And I am quite baffled at the sentiments expressed by some of the panelists this evening. Why are African Americans, some African Americans, running away from Africa? If you ask me, it's because of the misinformation that many of them have been receiving over the years, over the decades, in fact, the centuries, about Africa. If Africa was like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or even China, I can bet my last penny that African Americans will not be tripping over themselves trying to be native Indians instead of being Africans. It is the image that the media has painted of Africa that even inspires this kind of conversation where we are debating how much of Africa is in African Americans or otherwise. There is no other group that I know. I don't hear Mexican talking about it's a conspiracy. We are not from Mexico. We actually came with the Spanish people, but they're telling us that we are Mexicans. No, we are from Europe. It's only African Americans that I can think of that denounce their roots. Some African Americans, not all. Some African Americans that denounce their roots.
You got some Dominicans who are of African descent that deny who they are. But I'm not denying the fact that we have African ancestry. What we're saying is that we have a different culture now. Over 400 plus years, that's going to be different. It's not going to be the same. And also, too, we can't just generalize the word African and just say we're just all African. I mean, what does that really mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like it's 54 countries. So you got to break that down. You got to be more specific. That's the reason why I feel like that's the downfall of Pan-Africanism.
That's why the umbrella term is used.
They tend to try to they tend to try to homogenize everybody in the diaspora and say we're all African.
All right,
so we're all
let me finish. Let me finish my point. Okay, just give me a minute. So if you look at it, okay, it's from this certain disdain due to miseducation about Africa. Okay, now somebody was debating dynasty. I mean, how can you deny the fact that you had African Americans, some African Americans, but a great majority, who wanted to integrate? In fact, the whole distinction between Martin Luther King and Elijah Muhammad was on the issue of integration versus separation. Elijah Muhammad wanted a separate state for Black Americans. How many of the Black Americans were behind Elijah Muhammad? And how many of the African Americans were behind Martin Luther King's integration efforts? Okay, so you can't deny that. That is a fact of history. Okay, and lastly, the last point I want to make. Someone made the point that he cited that part of African American culture is resistance. That's not something that is germane to African American culture alone. Every people, whenever they are oppressed, you will find elements that would rebel, resist, and fight for freedom. That's not African American culture. That is just self-preservation and common sense.
Let me go ahead, Big Black.
Hey, okay. So a lot of this said, man. There was a misrepresentation of Pan-Africanism. You can be a Pan-African and not practice Yoruba. You know, Pan-African is not about what religion or what spirituality system you practice. There are actually some atheists that are Pan-Africans. So the person that made that statement about Pan-Africanism, he really needs to read about Pan-Africanism.
But sometimes the way that they speak about it, they do speak about it in a way where they're trying to make it seem like all of us are just one big giant African, and not knowing that we are very different. Africa itself is a heterogeneous continent. So I don't understand why we think that Africa is just this one big culture of these people that just exist on the continent without any type of distinguished type of customs and everything like that, and languages.
Well, here's the thing, sir. Pan-African itself has been used back and forth with synonymous with black, right? I consider myself an African American. Since we're African American, whatever culture we make is African by default, in my opinion, right? But it's African American to be exact. So yes, we have our own culture. It's African American, but by default, it's also African. It's not. That's
it's no such thing as African culture. It's no such thing as African culture. It's no such thing as various African cultures.
Sir, I'm talking. So that's not to say that, oh, the Africans made this up. The continental Africans made this up. No, it's our original culture. It's African American culture, but by default, we're African. So yes, it's African culture, but it's African culture that African Americans made up. So that's definitely how I look at things, and that's how things are. Now, going back to this FBA thing, see the guy, I think a guy named Chauncey was on, and he was talking about we FBA. That's why the FBA is growing. It's funny how that people they come on and use FBA synonymous with African American, right? But when you go on Tariq's site, he tells you what he means by FBA. That's the man that created the term FBA. He believes that most of us didn't come from the slave trade. He believes most of us was already here. He believes that we're Indians, quote unquote, Aboriginal. I'm not FBA by definition.
I don't believe that either. I don't believe.
You know what? Let me read. I'm gonna go to the site. I'm gonna go to the site. Go play.
This up.
No, I'm not saying I don't believe what you're saying. I'm talking about I don't believe in that rhetoric that he said in terms of the Aboriginal.
But that's why that's why you hear Pan-Africans talking against it. First of all, the first attack, if you really want to be honest, the first attack was on the Pan-African community by Tariq and Yvette Carnell. Yvette Carnell, when she first came out, one of the first videos she came out with to uplift the name ADOS is shout out Pan-Africanism is dead. So they went on the attack.
She had a video on that.
Right, she went on the attack.
But she was trying to talk about the nuances of that and saying that, it's a very nuanced type of conversation in terms of, a South African versus a Nigerian. She was giving examples as to why it's dead because they have, differences there on the continent. So how can it be Pan-Africanism when people are fighting each other on the continent, such as the Hutu, the Tutsi, the, all these other various tribes?
Well, here's the thing, sir. Not all of us. Pan-Africans always been in small numbers on every continent, right? Even in America, right? We're in small numbers. So it's never been a majority in every country. Okay, and it's never been dead. So and if you look at Yvette Carnell's background, we know she comes from a right-wing think tank, right?
And then also too, there have been cases where Pan-Africanists have colluded with Russia.
She went on a raise. Tariq used to be against her. Now she went on a rampage against Francis Cress Wilson because Francis Cress Wilson was against homosexuality, and she was Pan-Africanist. So the day that Francis Cress Wilson died, she went on a tirade against Francis Cress Wilson. Tariq was mad about it. And Tariq even spoke about it. So how dare you, right after she died, you and a couple of other people, leftists, went on a tirade about Francis Cress Wilson. Then when she comes with this new idea, right, Tariq suddenly has admiration for her. Okay, both of them been on a rampage, trying to go on a rampage against Pan-Africanism. That's a fact. One of the main things, you go get Tariq's videos. He has many videos talking against Pan-Africanism.
But in what way was Yvette talking down on Pan-Africanism? Like what she's saying in terms of...
She has a whole video. the whole thing, their whole reparations movement was started off. That's what a ball of confusion. The whole thing was let's attack Pan-Africanism, right? Then let's attack the immigrants so we can say, hey, we make this whole confusion of this whole fight, the immigrants that's coming to America versus African Americans about reparations. A check that we don't even
No,
know.
I think delineation is not the same thing as insulting Africans or whatever. I think Pan-Africanism take offense to it because they kind of perceive it that way. But she wasn't insulting Africans or Pan-Africanism. What she was just saying is that there is we can make a distinction in certain ways. But I think a lot of times, these Pan-Africanists tend to kind of like, misinterpret what Yvette was actually talking about in terms of that video.
No, the facts is, sir, is that this FBA and ADOS, they started off with the whole reparations search, the whole reparations. We need reparations. What their plan was, right, coming from that think tank to let's first attack the immigrants, right?
When has Yvette attacked immigrants? I've never heard Yvette attack immigrants.
That's what they did. They had to go attack Pan-Africanism.
You mean Tariq has attacked immigrants? I don't think Yvette has ever attacked immigrants. I think
still my turn. The first objective is to attack Pan-Africanism, to break the unity up, so we can now, after we break the unity up, let's attack the immigrants. About reparations, a check that we don't even know if we're going to get.
Right, exactly. Let me read these super chats that I got. I'm gonna pass it back. I'm gonna pass it to Bang. Let's see here. Keith Reynolds, thank you for $5 holla. They get offended because you want to devalue Black Americans and our struggles here in this country. FBA Young Lion, Africans are not even Pan-Africanists. They are mostly pro to their tribe. Our culture is not rooted in Africa. We are first world people. FBA Young Lion, 499 holla. Haitians and Africans are culturally the same because they're poverty bond. FBA Young Lion, $1.99 holla. Black Americans are pro our ethnicity, just like Africans. Keith Reynolds, $5 holla. The gaslighting of point is astounding. You will never hear a Pan-Africanist tell a Igbo, Ewe, etc., that they are being divisive by claiming that weak. FBA Young Lion, thank you for $1.99 holla. Preach that Pan-Africanist BS to the Africans first. Jay, thank you for $2 holla. Because can't base reparations on race delineate. DJ, aka Mr. Sandman, thank you for $9.99 holla. I found one of the plantations my family comes from in South Carolina. Master Roger McGill owed us before the Revolutionary War. British Army attacked us and forced us to fight for the British. FBA Young Lions, thank you for the $4.99 holla. Hebrew Israelism, Nation of Islam, 5%ers, etc. are Black American religions. Gospel music comes from Black America. Hebrew Israelite is Black American religion. No, it's fine. What? Nation of Islam? No, it's not. No, that's so Hebrew Israelite is his Hebrew Israelite religion is Israeli religion with a dab of Black people sauce put in it. Nation of Islam is an Arab religion with a dab of Black people hot sauce put in it. And 5%er, that's I would go more with 5%er, but we'll get to that later. FBA Young Line, thank you for $4.99 holla. Delineate from Africa. We are Black Americans and proud. Africa collectively couldn't even measure up to our grandeur, achievements, and innovations. FBA Young Line, thank you for $1.99 holla. Africa is the epitome of failure. Don't attach us. FBA Young Line, thank you for $1.99 holla. Africans been delineating from each other. Chosen 1619, thank you for the $1.99 holla. African tribalism is far worse than white racism. Chosen 1619, $1.99 holla. We must trust Africans who don't trust each other. All right, let me go ahead, Bang.
Man, Dennis, how you doing? You in that hunting society, right? One time.
Yeah. In well, it's not a hunting society. It's the Unje Society in Murraytown and Freetown, but it's not a hunting society.
Yeah, that's another one. I'm not sure, but one time I was playing the music, right? So my friend, he's from America, right? You know, Black Americans, right? So when the song started, right, and then the guys start singing, and then you had the leader, and then you had the other guys behind him, right? Man, and then the dude said, "Yo, that sounds like choir." you know, like how they do choir churches in America, right? And then he was like, that's exactly how they do choirs. And so if you connect it, right? If you just take like, you know, whatever they do, you know, and then you put them in church, it will be the same exact thing.
It's the same exact
It's
thing.
the same exact thing.
Same exact thing.
It's only church because of Christian. You know what I'm trying to say? You got this and that, you got this and that. But if you remove the language, you move everything. It's the same exact thing. This idea as if in Africa, right? Every ethnic group have their own culture or way of doing things. When it comes to music wise, food wise, you go to like, just say example like Nigeria, over like, what was it, probably like maybe like 200 tribes or 200 languages, right? Each tribes have their own food, have their own dance, have their own music, have their own instruments. So these are things that people wonder, like, oh, we copy this, we copy that. It's not about copy. It's just that America is only like what, less than 500 years. So if it's less than 500 years, how are you going to tell me that? You telling me, oh, in Africa, every tribe, it's just that we don't practice it as we used to. Have their own song, their own instruments, their own beats, their own rhythms, their own food, everything. So if Nigeria is only like what, you got 200 people, 200 tribes, you know what I'm saying, like 200 languages, which is tribes as well. But then in America, you telling me that, oh, Africa can, like, it's not connected, like 0%. It makes no sense. Other time, a Jamaican in DC, right? He was like, man, everything in Jamaica is African. He said his own mouth. He said everything we got in Jamaica, we copy from Africa. But just like you said when you started, you know, the show, right? Once it comes to Black Americans, you can't connect to Africa. And I said it before. In America, it's all about them want to be superior than all the other Blacks. That's all it is at the end of the day. That's all I got to say.
Okay, go ahead, TT. Then I got to pass it a free game. Then Mika, then Hebrew. Go ahead, TT.
Hey,
TT, you got to mute yourself. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Dinus, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I wasn't trying to, how would I say it? I wasn't trying to infiltrate or what in this conversation.
No, you good. Go ahead. You're good. You got to apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. But the thing is I just want us to, the FBA, ADOS, if they choose to not be African, I think at this point, we don't need to convince them. It's their choice. If you don't choose to be.
Oh, that's that Obama phone. Obama phone got her. You went out, TT. Let me pass it a free game. Go ahead, free game. Let me just tell free game.
Why are we forced to be with people, accept people that don't accept us, that talk about us? Somebody mentioned African booty scratcher. That comes from a damn movie. They have their own words for us Black Americans in different African countries. Why are we the only people? You don't ever bring up you don't ever bring up the people from Brazil. You don't ever bring up the people in Colombia. You don't ever bring up the people nowhere else but Black Americans to accept to be with Africans. Now, I'm feeling the relationship, but you act like we can just go to Africa and be accepted. No, it's African Americans dying over land that their government wanted us to come over there to buy.
Can you give me an example of African Americans dying over land that the government, specifically the government, wanted them to buy?
Gambia.
Go ahead.
Gambia. For instance, that's one.
So you're saying, I just want clarity, free game. So you're saying there was land in the Gambia that the government, again, the Gambian government, wanted Black Americans to buy, that they were killed over. If you just post a link in the chat.
Yes, even in Ghana.
Okay, so post the link.
Even in Ghana.
Post the link in the chat.
That's a lie.
Even in Ghana, you seen that guy. Hold on. You seen that guy that went to jail over land that in Ghana. You want us to be
free game. What guy went to jail? Who?
You look on YouTube. I'll post the link. I will post the link after I'm done. I'll post the link.
You post the link. There you go.
I'll post the link after I'm done talking. I'll post the link.
Go ahead.
He's talking about the African American who owns Shark Island in Ghana, right?
It went to jail.
That's not government land. See, you keep
misinforming the public. No, hold on. Let me finish. But anyway, we are the only people that are forced to accept Africa, but people don't accept us.
Nobody's forced to accept anything.
We have embraced Africans more than they embrace us. So we have embraced them more. We had a whole movement back to Africa. We've been doing this for over 50 years. And we don't get a movement like that. Every movement, we got to come out of our pocket. And Dynas, we have our own religion. Now, what the God said.
Well, what's our own religion? What is it?
Hoodoo, Baptists.
Where does hoodoo come from, free game?
It comes from America. It don't come from no Africa. It's no such thing.
It might be derivative of Africa, but it doesn't mean.
Oh my Lord!
Where is hoodoo being practiced in Africa?
Free game.
I said,
where is hoodoo being practiced in?
Listen, you're not listening. I said, where did the roots of hoodoo come from?
America.
Oh my Lord! Where in America?
America.
Dre, this is why I laugh at y'all. This is why I laugh at y'all.
In hoodoo, we don't have a pantheon. We don't have orishas in hoodoo. We have nature spirits here in America. We don't have stories passed down. It ain't no mythology in hoodoo. It's homegrown from America.
Where are the origins of hoodoo? Where do they come from?
America.
How? Okay, so when Black Americans came over here via slavery, go into detail about the process of them coming up with hoodoo.
What herbs we had to use? The ones from Africa or one from America? What animals we had to use? The ones from Africa or America? We got here, use hoodoo to our advantage. They had to ban it. Africans, even in the Caribbeans, even in South America, where they was using African spirituality, they used it for their freedom and retaliation.
Have to do with it. I mean, what are you
hold on. Let me finish. And guess what? Africans didn't do that. We created our own culture with their culture in some instances. In New Orleans, we created our own. We talking about hoodoo. We talking about the Baptist Church. We not talking about no Ifa. We not talking about no Benin voodoo. We not talking about none of that. We talking about hoodoo. We talking about and guess what?
Hold on 1 second.
So hold on, big black. So free game. One more time, Fred. I want everybody to hear this. What are the foundations of hoodoo?
America.
So it's not African.
No.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh man. Oh
no.
Man.
You can't practice. It's no such thing as hoodoo in Africa at all.
Wow.
Yes. When the slaves came over, hold on. When the slaves came over,
hold on, but Big Black. 1 second, Big Black. So Dre, do you agree with free game on hoodoo? Dre.
Who? Oh, okay. You said, do I believe him? I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with that because I know it's being kind of disingenuous to kind of separate, ourselves in that way. But I would say that it's a derivative of the West African culture, I guess, or various ones that might have.
Which one? Hold on. Which one? Which one?
Oh my Lord.
So you don't think that they practice root working in Africa or in any type of way?
Not like us. The ceremonies, are not the same. The spirits aren't the same. The mythology isn't the same. Nothing is the same.
What?
Nothing.
I mean, of course, it's going to be different
Nothing is
based
the
on the
same.
location.
The animal. Hold on. The animals aren't the same.
What? The animals are not the same?
No. How could we get African animals? How can we get African animals? I'm talking. You be quiet until I'm done.
Hold on. Let him finish. Okay, free game. Can you be specific? What specific
The
animals are you?
herds aren't the same.
Okay,
The ceremonies aren't the same.
Free game. I'm asking a question. What specific animals are you referring to?
Turtles.
They don't have
snapping turtles, alligators.
They don't have free game. So they don't have turtles and alligators in Africa. That's what you're saying.
Where you gonna get an alligator from in Africa?
God damn, man.
You can get a crocodile and an alligator is two different things.
In the same family.
It doesn't matter.
Oh Lord!
It doesn't matter. Where in Ephah do they call for deers as sacrifice? What do they call for wolverines as sacrifice? What do they call for rabbits as sacrifice? They don't use none of that.
Who told you that?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! What do they call for turkeys as sacrifice?
He told himself that, man. What's his name?
So free game. So free game in Africa they eat chofi, which is turkey tails. Turkeys are used.
Turkeys are from America, Dinas.
Turkeys are also in Africa.
Not the type of turkey we have. You must talking about a guinea hen or something.
But I'm saying turkeys are there.
Why are you? We have our own customs, culture. Y'all want us to go over there and be with people that don't want us there. Obviously, look at what's happening in Ghana. Look at what's happening in Gambia. Look at what's happening in all these different countries. They kick you out. Only people that are really fool with us is South Africa.
No, not really.
I gotta pass the mic. Let me pass it to T. Go ahead, TT. Then I gotta pass it to
Okay, I'm gonna be quick. Honey, we have turkey. I just have some turkeys too. So that we have turkey. And our turkey is bigger and more organic, by the way. I know Dinas can testify to this. Okay? We have turkey. We kill chicken when it comes to sacrifice, okay? But I'm not even gonna argue about voodoo. I'm just gonna say if you don't want to be African, it's okay. You don't have to be African. You can.
I'm not African.
To be. Okay, that's fine, and that's good for you. Okay.
I'm American. Greek.
I'm gonna say to the African Americans that know their heritage and know whom they are. Like, you are welcome home. Okay, anytime, any day, you are welcome back to West Africa. Oh, the door is always open, and we are with you all the way through. And if FBA, ADOS don't want to be African, that's fine. Nobody's arguing with you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, let me read this super chat. FBA Young Lion 499. Free game, chill with that animal stuff. We don't have to stoop to that level of ignorance. It's not cool.
Man, what are you talking about? We talking about
FBA.
We talking about religion. We're talking about culture.
He's FBA.
And we don't look, y'all take it personally. Look, I love y'all. Look, y'all my people. I love y'all as African people. But y'all don't like us like that. Y'all don't fool with us like that. Y'all don't fool with us. They don't like us.
Stop it, man. With that,
they don't like us.
Stop it with that, man. Stop it with that. With the whole voodoo thing, whatever you were saying, that's completely BS. That's completely BS.
So if we take a trip
this Jamaican guy told me one day, he said, why y'all, we over here, we don't have to do no EFA. We don't have to do all the reasons. We got Obia. We use Obia. Y'all live in America. Y'all have the strongest country in the world, but y'all don't use y'all own religion. Y'all don't use y'all own land to conjure up y'all own spirits. Y'all have the most powerful spirits in the world, but y'all don't use them. Y'all want to use Africa stuff. And he have a good point. He have a good point.
So hold on.
My ancestors created the strongest nation in the world. In the world. And we use Africa spirits. We can use our own spirits.
Okay, free game. America is the world superpower because of the dollar system. It's not because of some FBA. It's because of the white man dollar. So y'all need to understand that. You pull out a dollar bill, it's a white man. You pull out a $5 is a white man. You pull out a $10 is a white man face on it. You pull out a $20 is a white man face on it. You pull out a $50 is a white man face on it. You pull out $100 is a white man face on it. That same system is what America uses to control other nations. That's the number one superpower America has. It's the dollar system. And the military. The military is controlled by who? Private corporates. Who controls that? The white man. So this idea of America's superpower is because of what? Other nations are just sleeping around because of what? It's because it's the dollar system and the U.S. Military. That's all it is. Who controls it? The white man.
Bro, that's a lot. Do you know how many?
I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna be quiet. Do you know how nature, raw African nature is? Like when it comes to real, like rawness of nature of Africa.
I understand. Yeah.
Is without being just tampered with. You can't come close than Africa.
All right, let me pass it to TT. Go ahead, TT. Then Hebrew after that.
Many people can go. That's fine with me. Many people can go.
Go ahead, Hebrew. Hebrew, you got a lot of background noise. Hebrew, like there's a fan on. But go ahead, Hebrew. Unmute yourself. Hebrew, unmute yourself.
Is it making noise still?
It's a little bit better. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my take on Black Americans and the whole ethnicity thing. So I know. I'll come back. It's a phone call.
Okay. Go ahead, Johnny.
All right. What's up, Dynas? Appreciate you having me on the panel, bro.
No problem.
Man, I gotta watch that movie, man. It seemed like you got no nonsense ever since you seen it, man. Like you ain't having it with these clowns, man. So I appreciate that. I do gotta say.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I'll say us as Africans, Americans, we have a special place in Pan-Africanism. And it puts us in the best position globally, like I said before, to see the continent of Africa prosper. But as African Americans, we have a struggle, that we have with integration and stuff like that. Our story of triumph and everything. Yeah, the rest of the world does kind of look at that with envy, and it's not a bad thing that people see us and they see us around the world by all people. But a thing to like marvel in a way, the way that we're looked at in a lot of ways is good. A lot of culture is like copied by different races and different type of people. But I'll say that our for us in particular, our original culture and language and heritage and everything might have been lost and everything. And the key to becoming better is obvious. Well, to me, it's obvious, but I guess not for everybody. It's to bridge with the continent and get back kind of what we lost to prosper. A lot of times what comes up is beef when we have these conversations is culturally everything we kind of have is there's very little that's actually tied to the actual continent of Africa. A lot of it is kind of like influenced like vaguely from the roots of things in Africa, but it's not directly tied to it. There's not people, a large amount of people in America that speak African languages. We might have some words or some kind of manners of speech and stuff that they have in Africa, but a lot of it is lost, and we got to enrich ourselves by returning back to that. I feel like a lot of times on these panels, people be trying to mean good. Free game. I know you don't try to mean harm and all this stuff, man, but I feel like when you don't have really stuff to offer, then you kind of try to take on these few accomplishments and stuff that we have as Africans and use that to divide us from the rest of the continent. And that does way more harm than good, as Black people, no matter where we are in the world, our biggest enemy is going to be ignorance. All right. And ignorance followed up by envy. And I think that's like the biggest thing that we have to overcome. I'm gonna leave it there, but let me actually leave it with this. Only time I ever talked to anybody from Africa, I've always only been welcomed, no matter who it was. Cameroon, Senegal, Congo, Rwanda. Only thing I ever heard from Africans was welcome. You're welcome. You know, if you ever want to come there, you're welcome. You'll love it. Blah blah blah. You know, so they always did that. You know, and I just don't see where they don't like us. They keep getting this hatred and stuff in. When literally in the same conversation, the woman was telling him he's welcome to come and visit, and he's over here screaming about how they don't like us. So, I mean, that's wild, but I think that's some stuff we got to overcome. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, let me pass the mic to Mamadi. Unmute yourself, Mamadi. Unmute yourself, Mamadi.
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, Dennis.
Hey.
Yeah, thank you for letting me in. Yeah, I have my opinion and little observation. Yeah, so I don't think we need to allow, not all African American need to go to Africa, right? We specifically the one that very negative, and I think that African hate them. And most of the time, when you check on their background, they even have nothing to prove in America that they live in. And we want someone like Dennis that merely contributing to African society, or not the one that believe that African hate them. And mostly when you dig into their background, you'll find out that they have nothing to even show up in America. I've worked for a lot of corporations in America, specifically in New York. I live in New York. So when I walk into the door of corporate America, I don't even see 1% of African Americans. And few blacks that I see, probably most of them are Africans. And also you find out that that's why it's always good for African American to have second options to go to Africa and look for safety ground. But at the same time, we African, we don't want all African American to go to Africa, because almost on a daily basis in New York, they killing each other. You always hear that black shooting black, whether it's in Queens, whether it's in Harlem, whether it's in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, where they produce a lot of rappers, or whether it's Queensbridge, Brooklyn, you have Queensboro, Queens, you have blacks killing blacks. So we don't want this type of situation to appear in Africa. So that's why I don't think it's important for African American to go to Africa. We want the one that more productive, the one that make sense, the one that think that Africans don't hate them, or just, and you know very well Africans welcome them. These are the type of African American that I think are welcome in Africa. The specific example is I visited Nairobi, Kenya, or Zanzibar. You see African Americans started fighting among themselves. Some of the young guys scamming older African Americans, but at the same time, they will always accuse the Africans scamming them, but they're scamming each other now. That's why we are seeing it appearing in Ghana, it's happening in Kenya, it's happening in Gambia. So that's what I have to say. It's not everybody who we welcome over there, but I don't see the level of achievement that I expect the African American to achieve in America. I don't see that at all. Since I've been working in corporate America. So that's what I have to say. But thank you.
No, I mean the corporate America that's a two different thing, because that's like a systemic racist in this country.
No, I
So we
don't.
got to understand
I
that.
don't. I don't think so. If I
No, no,
can
no,
work,
no, no, no,
if
no.
I can
There
work
is,
in,
there is,
no,
there
no,
is. Let's
but
be
that's
real.
my
Let's
opinion.
be real. Let's be
That's
real
my
now. Let's be real
opinion.
now.
You guys
Let's be real
always
now.
say
Let's be real now.
racism. You always blame racism, and you're shooting each
No,
other
no,
every day. I see
no,
black
no,
killing
no, no, no.
blacks.
Let's be real now.
So why you can't
America
solve that
is,
problem?
it's not just what you think it is
Systemic
now.
racism is way more of a
Yes,
problem than
yes.
killing
America is
us
not
killing
just
each
what you
other.
think
That's
it
more
is.
about
Let's be real now.
poverty and
Let's be
proximity
more
to.
real now. Come on, sir. Come
But,
on, sir.
but
Let's be
and
more
I
real now.
would say you do see there's a lot of African Americans in corporate America.
Yeah, of course,
I was just
yeah.
about to
There's
say
plenty.
that,
But what
especially
about
when
the
you.
There's
tribalism in
plenty.
Africa? How come
I'm not.
nobody talks about the tribalism in Africa?
There's plenty. But
There's
let's be
plenty of
real
black people in corporate
about
America.
the structure of America. America's structure about race. Let's be real about that. White folks are gonna make sure their people are always on top.
Yeah,
Let's be real about that system now. This is system now. Just like how we complain about the IMF, the World Bank, the British bank, there's a bank I'm missing, the IBC bank, which is in Europe, everything, because those banks are responsible of making sure that we stay poor. Let's be real now. It's the same system in this country too.
If that's the case, why try to get a second option? Africa, you go to Africa, especially specific.
Yeah, but don't say it as if like
if you go to Nigeria,
I get what you're saying.
everything is black.
But the way you were saying it as if like they're not capable, like you know what I'm trying to say, like they don't want to get it and stuff like that. But it's a reason it's like that as well.
Well, but because the mentality that you guys have is racism, because of my race. I didn't experience that. I have not experienced that anywhere.
See, that's what makes us different is that you are saying that we're complaining about
the
racism.
one person in the system. You just a one employer.
I told you that's exactly how they act. They
Are not
tend to discredit our experience of racism in America.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, man.
I'm not discrediting anything from African American.
That's exactly how you sounded. You sounded like
exactly.
we
Don't do that. Don't do that, man. I'm African.
For example,
let's
right?
be honest.
Okay, my example is in a situation of Dennis. He was working in corporate America. He realized that corporate job is not for him. He found different options. Look at his level of contribution right now. He's taking people over 5-6 different African countries. Even when we talk about specific African history, he even know more about Africa. I was shocked for him to even know about the situation in Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. Even example, one African came over and said, well, because Ibrahim Traore is a Muslim, that's why he's
that guy was a crazy guy.
Let me show you an example. Let me finish.
That guy was a crazy guy.
So Dennis
that guy was a crazy guy.
History.
He said about I think 55 people got killed. Some Fulani guy got killed. That guy was some crazy guy.
Okay, but then Dennis came and corrected him. There are a lot of Africans that don't even know about African history. I was shocked to hear Dennis give him detailed history of Africa. He
know more than me,
right?
That know more than me about Africa, especially culture-wise.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. This
especially
always
culture.
To have second option.
I didn't even know what's Ogun. I learned Ogun because of Dinus.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Look at his level of understanding right now. Look at his level. Everything is not financial achievement. That's what a lot of African Americans don't understand. If you travel, it gives you a lot of knowledge. His level of understanding Africa right now, anytime you bring up any part of Africa, he will talk about it. And he will give you detailed explanation of what is going on. And that's amazing. That's what we call about knowledge. But sticking here around, I'm in Harlem right now. I don't even want to be here during the summertime. They have started killing people already. I want to go right now, in South Africa or Kenya, because I have something going on in Kenya or in Ivory Coast. I don't want to be around because killing blacks every day. Even today, there's someone got shot.
Bro, come on, man.
So how are you going to be comfortable in that type of environment? You don't want to find second option. You say racism, yeah, but you can be living like
what you're saying is you talk about hood mentality
options. You have to find
that's
level
hood mentality
of comfort.
That's not the average Black American in this country. That's hood mentality. That's people from a hood mentality, from a project mentality. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's what
you got a different shape. These type of people that you're talking about.
All African Americans
yes, you might live in the hood, but have a good ass job that pays you. or you might live closer to the people that's from the hood. You understand?
But the lady, I came from.
Hey, Mama, you got 30 seconds. I got to pass the mic. Go ahead.
I live very close to Central Park, so mostly I jog in Central Park. If you be into New York City, the lady came out from her building. There was some sort of argument going on. She came out from the building. She
got hit by a stray bullet. You're talking about that?
She got hit. I passed by the picture this morning. Innocent lady in her 60s. Probably she's not in year 65. This lady
Do you know who did it?
She got killed.
Or you just assume it was somebody black?
Blacks.
How do you know that?
You just be walking. I'm living that street for Kenya. I'm not East Africa, but then when I'm in Africa, I feel very, very relaxed.
Bro, you just took it in red.
They're going to hit me, right?
Bro, I got to pass the mic. Let me pass it to Troop. Go ahead, Troop.
Thank you.
And then Dre, you got a lot of background noise, so I had to mute you. You on your Obama phone, Dre?
No, Dennis.
Go ahead, Troop. Go ahead.
So first, I want to pigtail a little bit on the point that the brother made. I liked that a bit earlier when I came in. They don't like us, and I kind of heard it a little bit too, but I wasn't looking at who was talking at what time, so I couldn't really pinpoint who it was. But what I do know is, we're humans, and often when you're trying to find something, usually, the more you keep looking for something, the more likely you are to find it. And the more likely you're looking for people to not get along with, you'll find them. If you're looking for enemies, you'll find them. If you're looking for who dislikes you, you'll find them. If you're focused on looking for positive people, you're more likely to run into them and not notice who may think otherwise of you. So I seem to, whenever I have a lot of these conversations with people, they tend to kind of, some people, not most Americans, but some Americans, including some of my close personal friends. Like this one guy that, we talk about a lot of things, and he always, they don't like us, they don't like us, they don't like us. And when you ask them, why do you say that? They say, well, this one person, such and such and such, said this. And then, it's only one person that said that. Just like even me, there are people that don't like me, but I can't say that because, I have one or two enemies that everyone doesn't like me, so it all depends on how you decide to project things, because then that becomes your reality. Now, I did miss a lot, I assume, when I came in, and I'm assuming that somebody touched on, what's going on with the protests and whatnot, because somehow
what protests
that are like, I saw some date saying April 30th.
I don't know. That's I don't know. We're not talking about that.
Yeah, I know, but I just think that that's somehow intertwined with this topic right here, which is if you can't run from ADOS can't run from Africa. So that's all I got to say. I didn't really hear too much because Mama D and the other brother kind of like went back and forth a little bit, and they started getting blurry.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me pass the mic. Go ahead, Theo. Unmute yourself, Theo.
Hey, what's up, gang?
Hey, Theo, can you talk into the phone? Like, are you on?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now? Am I good?
It just sounds like you're on speakerphone.
Hold on.
Or it's just.
Yeah, I am. Hold on.
Yeah, just talking to the phone, or.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add. I think there's truth on both sides of the argument. Between the ideology or idea of the nativeness or the unattachedness from Africa, and also the inclusivity of being African. There's a lot of commonality to be had, but also there's a lot of differentiators, that are there between Africans and African Americans, for obvious reasons, right? Geography, history, and those type of things. I think when these conversations are had, though, oftentimes it's the personalities that come into play that cause the discontent. Namely, narcissism and ego, right? I think there are folks who make it their business to find the commonalities and make the connection and be a part of a broader humanity, i.e., Africa. And then there are those who try to set themselves up as some special group that is above being connected to Africa. And I truly think that just comes from personality. I think some people just find it hard to associate themselves, um, especially on a cultural or biological level with Africans. And part of that is the history of being in America, um, being born and raised and bred, I guess you can say, in America, and the implication via the racist ideology of the past and today of what it is to be African. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I wanted to add. I truly think, the obvious thing is the African Americans are descendants of Africa. Another obvious thing is that African American culture is a subculture of America. Um, we borrowed, or a lot was transmitted to African Americans from Africa, but a lot of what we take on as our culture is really just appropriated from the larger culture, and maybe, like you said, some hot sauce is added to it, if it isn't something that was transmitted from Africa that we add to it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Quincy, I'm gonna play your clip real quick. I just don't want to get the video demonetized, so I'm not gonna have the video up, but I'll play the. Let me know if you guys can actually hear the sound.
Hey, Dennis, after that, can you at least go to
I'm trying to play it. Hold on.
Hey, I can't hear anything. I'm not sure about y'all, but I can't hear anything.
Can you guys can't hear him?
No, not at all.
All right, let me share the screen then. Okay, I'll just share the screen. Forget it. Hold on 1 second. Somebody needs to mute themselves. Guys, mute yourselves, please. Thank you. All right, yeah. So where's Quincy?
Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
All right, great. So I'm glad you played that, because with all the other different conversations going on, I did want to just bring it back to, look, man. I saw the movie twice and and a couple more times at home, and I saw it in IMAX again last night. And I'm telling you, all things else, like this is a moment, like for real. Like he just said, like that's what really kicked him off. He went into, in other interviews, he spoke about his uncle who loved the blues and how they came from Mississippi. So regardless, I know y'all trying to tie it back to Africa, but like this literally is he's had his African movies, but this literally is a movie honoring his Black American heritage. And I mean, I think y'all should just give space to that. I mean, because not giving this space is really what just create more FBAs, more people with the problem with Pan-Africanism. But the movie, dude, the movie is beautiful. I've never seen 1930s Black Americans culture being highlighted on the IMAX screen. So I don't even know if we've ever. I know, you know what? Harlem Nights was in the 1930s. But I just never seen it before, especially going back like Black American Southern culture. You know what I mean? Because typically when we do get a lot of Black stuff, and back in the day, it's always up north or whatnot. But it was real beautiful. There's a moment that towards the end they keep talking about honoring. There's a moment towards the end of the movie where he's reflecting. The one of the brothers are reflecting and they just showing the faces of all of the sharecroppers and all of that. And I'm gonna be straight up with you. That brought a tear to my eye. I had never seen like like so like my grandma. She was born in like the 30s. I just never seen people of her parents' era, my great grandparents' era, being on a big screen like that in HD, IMAX, big screen, big budget movie, honoring like my ancestors, my immediate ancestors, you know. And it was just a sight to behold. Now, I think we need to give space to honor that instead of trying to shoehorn all these other conversations into it and just or just bypassing it and just saying it's African. Bypassing it and saying, hey, it's Africa. Like, hey, give it a moment. And can we get a moment? I mean, like, if you're Black American and your people go back to slavery in this country, this movie honors your people. You know what I mean? And just like he said in the interview, he felt guilty. He was all Pan-African and connected to Africa, and he just straight up skipped over his immediate ancestors. You know what I mean? And I think, and I said it earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm telling y'all, your Pan-Africanists, a lot of y'all Africans, y'all get so much pushback because y'all don't give space for Black Americans to honor that. You just want to skip straight over that and go to Africa. Skip straight over anything that we do and call it African. And I'm telling you, in this day and age, this global economy.
Yeah, but it's still rooted in Africa. That's the point.
Okay, but what do you accomplish? What do you want to accomplish by saying that?
It's just the truth. I mean, it's like I said, Black American culture is rooted in Africa and the British Isles. There's nothing wrong. It's what it is.
Okay, yeah, but like,
it's what it is.
I know, but why? But what's accomplished in that moment by saying, but what you?
It's just telling the truth. It's not personal. It's what it is.
But what it's also doing is it's going against the Abo narrative. The Abo narrative that's been pushed to saying that we're Indians. We're not Indians. We're not Aboriginals. And that's what a narrative has been pushed in social media. And it goes against that. I think that's what Dynasty is trying to.
Yeah, it's what it is.
So it's not that we just. Yeah, it is. You use the term FBA, sir. You got to understand that what the FBA ideology is we use the term, because the term says that most of them are Indians.
Dude, you can't tell me nothing about FBA. I know everything about FBA, bro. You can't tell me nothing that I know.
So
FBA,
you believe we have Indian?
Yes.
No, see that's why that's what I'm talking about. We're not half Indian.
Let me finish. I thought you said we had Indian, not half Indian. We do have Indian ancestry.
Small,
that's already been debunked, Quincy. Quincy, and you got a bad connection, Quincy. I gotta mute you. You're on your bubble phone. Or is that Johnny? Who was that? Who was that? Somebody needs to mute themselves.
Hold on, that's me. Hold on. I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, that's Dre. That's Dre. Dre, unmute yourself, Dre. Dre, you're on your Obama phone. That's Dre. My bad. Go ahead, Quincy. That was Dre.
What noise you hear?
Just mute yourself. Go ahead, Quincy.
We Indians people, so don't try to put that on me. But I do acknowledge that there is some Indian down the line for some African Americans. I'm not gonna brush it off and act like it's crazy, just like I'm not gonna brush off that we do also have African ancestry. So that's that. I mean, like we do, but I mean, like I said, if we in a moment where like literally the man made a whole $90 million movie on the IMAX showcasing specifically who he's highlighting. And you tap us on the shoulder and say, "Oh, you know you still African, right?" I'm like, dude, no disrespect, but I don't give a fuck about that right now. I'm celebrating me and my culture right now. Like, what they got to do with
and Quincy, your culture, our culture is rooted in African with a dab of European. It's what it is. It's okay. It's okay.
I never said it wasn't okay, and I said it earlier, bro. I acknowledge that we got.
Yeah, well, Quincy, that's the whole point of the movie. When somebody watch it, it's basically celebrating American history.
Black Americans sitting having a good time. We do
that's the whole point of the movie. Because if I go to the movie and I watch it, I'm celebrating the Black American culture.
So yeah,
Most of us don't have Native American ancestry.
Yeah, we don't. We don't. Hey, Dre, you got a terrible connection, Dre. Dre, you got to Dre, you got to Dre, you got to come back. Dre, you got to come back, Dre. You got to come back, Dre. And Quincy, you got a terrible connection too. You guys need to stop calling on your Obama phone. Quincy, you got it. Quincy, talking to the phone, Quincy.
Yeah,
Quincy,
hey, right now, is it bad?
It's a little bit better. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Is it bad?
Go ahead.
Okay. All I'm saying is I'm trying to give y'all insight on how y'all are losing people. I'm trying to give y'all insight.
We're not Quincy. We're not losing anybody. Like I'm not trying to sell anybody. I'm just giving you
yes, you are, brother.
Quincy. You got it. I got to mute you, Quincy. Your connection is just terrible. Quincy, how can I put it? Okay. Me telling the truth that Black American culture is rooted in Africa and the British Isles, that's the reality. And if I'm going to lose people, then it's what it is.
That's like you talking about American history, but then that's like you talking about American history, but then skipping the British Empire. In my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, so let me rephrase that. Me telling the truth that Black American culture is rooted in Africa, British Isles, some Native American. If I lose people, it's what it is. All right, guys. Links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room if you want to call in. Hey, Mamadi, thank you for the $20 Cash App. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Link is in the chat room if you want to call in and add to the conversation. You can.
So one thing that I see that like immigrants have over us has to do with like the common language and them kind of moving towards a common goal. I think that even within Pan-Africanism, it reinforces, it can, depending on who I guess you talk to, it's different ideologies and everything, but it can reinforce African American culture just as it is. And I always find myself just kind of wondering, like, what can be done if we don't reconnect with with Africa? Like I think that's like our super move forward and everything. It's not that everybody wants to leave America and go to Africa, or that Africa is so much better than America or whatever, but it's just a joining of the cultures to reinforce. And I think that's what will make us real strong and everything. So, I mean, we have our accomplishments here on the continent that we made, and that deserves to be respected and congratulated as well, obviously, and not downplayed and everything. But like, as far as for the future and progression and stuff, it's still like, well, we still need to connect. Both can exist. Pan-Africanism can exist, and appreciation for what the American people have done here, Black Americans specifically, people have done here, can exist too.
Yeah, well, Johnny, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like what you just said, right? So who's responsible for that? Because basically Africans don't really have no power in America when you look at it.
They don't have no power where?
In America. In America, right? Africa don't really have power in this, you know what I'm saying, in this country as a people-wise.
You talking about Black Americans?
No, Africans.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, if you know what I'm trying to say. Because if you go to any state or city, if it's like Black, it's gonna be like probably in control by Black Americans. Just like in DC, Atlanta,
right,
and you know, Mississippi, somewhere, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so who's responsible for that? That's you guys, right?
You mean responsible for what? What do you mean?
For what you were saying earlier. I forgot how to put it.
I'm not from Africa, if that's what you
No. I'm saying you were saying that you know, Black folks in America needs their own space, their own I forgot how you put it. I'm saying like you guys are responsible for that in America.
For like bridging the gap with cultures with Africans?
No, not really. I'm saying like overall, like
bang. I'm lost. Like I'm lost, bang. What are you trying to?
No. He was saying about the history in this country.
I'm confused with the other guy.
Yeah,
no. He was saying something about the history in America, like like highlight black folks in this country.
That was the other guy. That was the other guy that just dropped off with the bad
Oh,
connection.
okay. My bad.
All right, let me pass the mic.
let me add this
Hold on, I
real
gotta
quick.
pass the mic. Mr. Savage, go ahead, Mr. Savage. Go ahead, Mr. Savage.
I don't know if you'll hear an echo.
Go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to ask, what exactly is African American culture?
That's what I asked, and I said, I hold on, guys, give me a second. I said that it's African American culture is a mixture of African, primarily British Isles, and a dab of Native American culture in one. We pulled from all three of these cultures, but predominantly African and British Isles, European.
I mean, I don't know if I say that. I mean, it's definitely a unique culture that comes from America, that comes from the descendants of African slaves. It's more so that. It's more so the food. It's more so the music. It's more so the vernacular. Is actually what goes into like the people of the country, not just the influences that they have. So I wouldn't say it was outside of anything else but the Africans that were brought from Africa to America as slaves, and the culture that developed from that process to today. I guess that's the best way I'll put it, because that's more accurate.
Well, in my opinion, whatever we consider culture was partially what we remember or what have been passed down from our ancestors that endured slavery. And I don't really consider living in survival mode a culture as much as an adaptation to an oppressive condition. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So,
You would say reggae is
TT, I forgot you was there, TT. Go. Let me pass it to TT. Well, hold on 1 second, Mr. Savage, you there?
yes,
I mean,
sir, I'm here.
Are you done?
Well, yeah, I just want to land my plane with this.
Go ahead.
It is not acceptable, or it is not good enough just to be a descendant of Africa anymore. If you are a descendant and you recognize that, but you decide to delineate from that past, what we are interested in Pan-Africanism nowadays is ascending Africans, those that are looking to reclaim or restore what was lost or taken from us during the Ma'afa, because 400 years of history will never compete with hundreds of thousands of years of history. And I'll land with that.
All right, man, that just got so many more questions up, but all right.
Go ahead, TT.
No, I was gonna agree with, I don't know, Mr. Savage or something like that. That when it comes to culture, I always say that I respect the African American community. I will always say I respect them, but then I also give respect to also the ancestors that were able to keep most of the culture and pass it down to them, because it takes a lot to be stripped out of your culture and they still found a way to still practice or to still ingrain some of that culture into what you have been forced into to consider that your culture, because we're forced into becoming Christians. We're forced into changing up hip hop, even though hip hop was something that was meant to for freedom for African Americans. It's a way to express themselves as individuals. But then it was not, now it's changed up into the pale man's ways, I would say. So it's something that was forced on African American. And I'm also going to go to African, because without African, I'm sorry to say this, there's no African American, there's no Asians, there's none of these Caribbeans. And without there's also not us, because we feed off of each other, whether we like to say it or not. Because when I look at us Africans as well, because the guy was mentioning something about a spirit, if you look at the wars that have been fought in Africa back to back. I actually just watched a movie right now, and I realized how these pale people have been a leech on our necks for decades. You know, I've been on more than decades. You know, they've been there from the beginning of time, a leech upon our necks, and they have been the one that have been causing divisions among us, such as I know about the history. I don't know if anybody know about the history of Ogun State, Egba people, how they were not only forced into paying like higher taxes by the Oyo Kingdom, but like I was just observing how the pale people were there and how they were bringing in the weapons, etc., 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 and then the people of the Lisabi people had to fight, fight for themselves and defend themselves. And the same spirit that I also see in African Americans, I'm the kind of person that can see a bigger picture. So I was able to compare that spirit to the spirit that I also see in African Americans. Like, oh my goodness, this is something that our people that are out of the country also like are fighting for. But then when I look at us today, it's not that Africans don't want to fight for themselves, or it's not that they don't want to rise up. I mean, if you look at, we have had so much wars that it is so detrimental that any Yoruba person, any Igbo person, they would not come after each other. They would even, I would say, like, we would not come after each other because we know the history. We knew that how the war was the reason how they were able to take our children. The war was how they were able to drag most of our people away from us and separate us and then bring division among us. We understand that history, and that's the same reason. If you look at African American community, while they stick together, is because of we understand how these leeches, that's what I would call them, are able to bring division among us. And one of those main divisions, I'm sorry to say this, is the FBAs and the ADOS. When you're trying to separate yourself away from your own brothers and sisters, identifying yourself as someone completely different. Yes, I can understand you probably have some type of Native American gene in you. Okay, fine, that's great. But about 40% African Americans don't. And what we are trying to bring back to African Americans, and back into the African American community, is to understand that you have a place, you have a home. Every other person understands this. Every other islander, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaicans, they all know where their root is. And same thing as African Americans, you know where your root is. And that is why most, not all, but some of them are in denial of that root because they are scared of that root.
They want to join the vampires.
I'm sorry.
Somebody actually got on the other day and said that they'd rather side with the white people than Africans.
Exactly. I went back home. I went back home.
Huh?
Man, I went back home about 2 years ago, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was invited to a church. A friend of mine invited me to a church. I'm not a Christian. So then I went up there. I'm sitting there, I'm sitting in the corner, right? They start performing and everything, right? And then you hear these people, singing, dancing and everything. So if you take that same energy, right? That same people, right? This was in Africa, right? Inside that church, right? You put them in the black church in America. It is the same exact thing. It is the same exact thing. So if you take, yep. If you take those same people, right? You put them in a village somewhere in Africa, right? They doing their own traditional African thing, right? It is exactly the same thing. That's what Africans call culture. It's something inside you. It's the spiritual of you being a black person.
Right.
Just like how if you go to a white church, it's not the same. It's not the same. These are people in Africa. You can see that at the Pope's
funeral, how they were celebrating.
In an African church. You take those same people, you put them in the black church in America. It is very similar.
But wouldn't that be culture?
Exactly. That's what African spiritual culture. Yes, exactly. Because now you becoming spiritual within yourself. So whatever you're talking to, like even if you saying like Jesus and stuff like that, there's something within us about black people. We become very spiritual. We are spiritual people by nature. You take those same people somewhere in village in Africa, it's the same concept.
Man, tell that to FBA. So you're gonna be arguing
It
for
is the
Hey,
same
guys,
concept.
I gotta pass the mic. Let me pass it. Let me read these
Hold on
super
one
chats
second.
first. Ruser0084, thank you for $5 holla. Free game is in denial about there being no alligators or alligator-like creatures in Africa. Yaya King, thank you for 11. The 11, that's euros. Self-hate is the most dangerous drug in the world. What the hell was that? Africa is equals Alpha and Omega. People hate that fact, yet keep their economy running. Let's see when we wake up and put our own interests first. Jay, thank you for the $5 holla. Do you realize how many ethnic genocide happens in Africa that blacks killing blacks, running through villages with machine guns? You have no room. Okay, all right. Go ahead, City.
Hey, Dennis.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay. So back to the topic. So I specifically went to East Africa, Kenya, because of African American. There's a guy that used to live in my neighborhood in Harlem. Yeah, he is called Troy. He lived in Kenya, in Nairobi for 10 years. So he spoke about Kenya, the opportunity, and I went there, and I know financially it was really good for me. I invested, and then I came back to New York. I started recruiting some other West African to look at Kenya. And so what I did, I started working with the Chinese, and they said, well, each client that I bring over to them, they will give me 3%. Some of them increase it to 4%, up to 5%. So the apartment complex that the Chinese are putting up in Nairobi, because of getting, a discount and also bringing client over to them, I was able to buy at least 4 units for myself, and specifically, because I was focused on West Africa, especially Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, and Liberia. That was my focus. And I started seeing opportunity open in Nairobi. So the reason I'm saying this is that educating people about Africa and telling them different opportunity, your money go far. If I were to stay in New York, all along I'll be in New York, I only have one apartment so far that I've invested in, and that's the 3-bedroom apartment that I've been having all along. Yeah, that's a good investment. Property value is increasing, but I cannot sell my property in Harlem and buy another property in Harlem. It's no way that I can do it. Right now, the neighborhood has been taken over by white. Probably it's almost 60%. When I was moving in Harlem, it was maybe 20% white. But now when I go to the gym, New York Sports Club, they're all white. So if you can financially, African and African Americans are struggling right now in America. So having different options, having different opportunity outside. Why you can go to Africa and make use of that opportunity instead of you carrying rumors around saying something that African hate you, and which is not true. So that's what Danis is telling people. Look at other options. If you think there's a racism in America, look at other options and see how Africans are doing well in Africa. Go how Africans are opening business in Nairobi, Zanzibar, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan, and see how opportunities are flowing. Then you will see how far your money goes. But you stay in this country and you complaining about racism, you're killing each other every day. I go to Central Park. From Central, where I pass, it is West Spike Lee lived, 120th Street in Harlem by Marcus Garvey Park. And where they shot this lady, it was right on 112th Street. She got shot. She just came from the building and shot, and they took her life in her sister. So is that a place that you want to be throughout your life? You don't even want to travel to see other parts? And someone just started killing each other already. Almost every day, somebody's getting shot in New York City. So I have to leave right now because I work remotely. I can't live here. It's hard. You can go outside. You can get hit by a stray bullet anytime. So I think it's better that people should look at other opportunity out, travel with people like Danis, and see other options. So that's what I have to say. But thank you very much for letting me, Danis.
You're welcome. Let me pass the mic to Happy Independence Day. Happy Sierra Leone Independence Day. Ericina, go ahead, Ericina. Ericina, unmute yourself, Ericina. Unmute yourself.
Let me jump in, Dennis.
Go ahead.
Hey, here's some food for thought. I believe culture is, somebody mentioned it earlier, is adaptation to the environment, right? I think most cultures are born out of human beings attempt or endeavor to adapt to the environment to survive, thrive, and enjoy life using creativity, uh, ingenuity, and based on their understanding of what it takes to survive, thrive, and enjoy life. With that said, I think it's reasonable to accept that culture changes, evolves, and mutates based on human movement as people move from one location to a next and experience different circumstances. So, with that said, I think it's only right to acknowledge the possibility that African Americans, due to the circumstances and with having creativity and ingenuity as a human gift, were able to and indeed did develop certain cultural norms that may be distinct and independent of Africa. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead and we'll close out. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with the brother said. But when it comes to Africans in America, we have to distinguish what parts of our created culture are beneficial or progressive versus the negative stereotypes that we have seem to have embraced. I mean, like, what is African American culture? You can't consider gang banging and twerking and gangsterism a positive part of a culture, or just being overly capitalistic. You know what I'm saying? It's like we seem to acknowledge everything that makes us resilient and durable and you know, strong-willed and go-getters and, you know, about the bad culture and all that, which is cool. But what about the culture that helped our ancestors endure and persevere, and the things that we were handed down through spirituality, like how we praise and believe differently, and the things that we even say and our swag and all that stuff, it comes from a root. So for us to deny the root and just embrace what was created out of survival, it's kind of like creates an imbalance. And that's why you have these groups that can come out and say, well, hey, we're not them and we're not that. And, you know, kind of like just piss on everything that our ancestors had to go through to get us into the position to even talk that recklessly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to have a balance in everything you do. And there's just power in numbers. It's just simple, basic math. We're not going to defeat the phenomenon of white supremacy globally without uniting with all of our people that we can identify with. And I land there.
I agree with the brother. I know you're about to close out. I think there are negative aspects of culture that are a reality of any culture, right? There's a lot of cultures, a lot of things about a lot of cultures that are end up being left behind because it has no value to the well-being of communities. Some things endure longer than they need to and are detrimental. But the reality is there is a lot of negativity that's embedded in culture. And I would dare to say African American culture, things that have become the norm. And so you can say cultural elements, though negative, but that's not to say there isn't, you know, some good things to be celebrated. And I agree. You say that everything has to go to a root. I agree that we borrow a lot from Africa. A lot has been transmitted from Africa, but I don't think everything carries forever. I think if you isolate yourself from the past geographically and time wise, and you find yourself in under different circumstances, it's possible because we're creative, right? And you can't take away that agency from human beings. You can't say that human beings just stop creating, stop adapting, and stop, developing at a single point, and then everything else is just
But don't you
carried
start?
from
But
the
don't you
past.
Let me
start
ask you
to
a
absorb?
question.
No,
Let me ask you a question.
sometimes you start some things you keep, and some things are transmitted, but sometimes you develop unique things that are
Let,
unique to the
let me
new
ask you a question, please.
circumstances that you find yourself in, and those things through practice over time become part of culture.
But
Well, that's
let me
why I
give you the
mentioned the
example real quick,
balance.
bro.
Let
Let
me
me
ask
give you
you.
an example on
Let me
something.
ask you one question, right?
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
bro.
If you have, let's say randomly, right? You go to Europe, right? You just take about 20 white guys, right? You just play any song, right? You just tell them dance to the song right here. How many of these 20 guys will actually know how to move to the rhythm?
Yeah. So there are some
Okay,
things that we could say are true.
I
I'm not
guarantee you,
denying
right?
that, but not all things, right?
You will
Okay.
not get about let's say about at least 80% knows how to dance to the rhythm of that song that you play, right? If you take a Jamaican, right? Let's say about 20 Jamaicans, right? You play a song, right? I guarantee you, eventually, they will figure out how to dance to that rhythm. About 95% or 98%, right? That's a
Do you think
culture
that's
within
genetic,
the
or do you think that's cultural?
no.
Like
It
is that an
That's
inherent
Jamaicans have
thing
music in their
in the
culture
hold on,
too.
because you're using race. You're using race
Yeah,
hold
to
on.
make the
I'm
that's not
coming
a
to a
good
distinction.
point.
example, bro. I wish you
I'm
would
coming
let me
to a
go if
point.
you're gonna say
Okay.
some shit
That's
like that.
culture with a genetic in it. You take that same Jamaican, right? They come to America, right? They have kids, right? Because Jamaica can't have they say tree. They don't have the TH in the accent, right? When they talk, right? In the language,
Okay.
right? You take that same Jamaicans, right? They have kids in America, right? That kid, right? Eventually, right? When they say tree, right? They say three, just like a typical American, right?
Right.
That's just an
Okay.
accent the way they talk, but that's just
Okay.
not because of a DNA. You understand?
Wait, I
Bro,
may have
nah,
got lost,
nah.
to be honest with you.
There needs
Okay,
to be a
I
clear and
don't know
concise
the point you
definition
were
of
making.
culture.
Bro, you
Culture.
making it sound like everybody who's black could dance. That's not true.
It's not true.
There needs to be a clear and concise definition of culture,
no,
All
first and
right.
no.
But
foremost.
let me
Yeah,
use
I
this
agree with
example,
you.
bro.
We have
Let me
to
use this
define
example.
culture too.
Everybody.
No,
Not
You missing it.
Hold on,
You missing it. I
bro.
didn't say everybody that's black know how to dance.
You
What
say
was your
everybody who's
point?
white
I guess.
can't, basically.
The point
So
is, the point is, it's culture within the DNA.
see,
Just like how,
Culture isn't a DNA thing though. Even though I think
yes,
it's
your
not.
genetics can dictate how you adapt
it's
to
born out
life,
of.
and therefore can affect culture. But
It's born out of,
culture
yes.
isn't DNA. Go ahead.
Culture is rooted in values. Values is rooted in how a people perceive the reality around them, which is rooted in how they're
okay.
biologically how they're wired biologically, biochemically, psycho-spiritually. An example of
In
that is
Africa,
hold on, listen, because I'm in the middle of something. So listen. So when you look at it, one example of that is if you have a people who are biologically more suited to be in a certain environment, and they're able to thrive in that environment, their outlook within that environment is not going to be the same as a people who don't have the biological makeup to be able to survive in that same environment. So their outlook is going to be different, and thus their values are going to be different, and thus the culture, which is based on the value system, is also going to be different. So yes, there is an influence that genetics does have on
Right.
on culture, and and when you take various expressions of what we call Black, African, so on and so forth globally, we have more genetic similarities than differences, which is why there's so many different. I mean, there's so many similarities in the way we express ourselves on a global scale.
so
in
so
Africa, right? Your
No, not
culture.
just
Hold on. Let me say something.
not just in Africa. I'm
Let
just
me say
saying
something.
just go ahead, go ahead.
Let me say something. In Africa, right? Your foundation of your culture comes back to your ethnic group, which is
Hmm.
your language.
Right.
It's a language
Hmm.
that was created by your own people for
Hmm.
generations. You understand?
Correct.
So
It's
that's what I'm
bigger
trying to
than
say when I say
that,
DNA
Listen,
bro,
has
I'm
flow.
listening.
that's
Let the
not
man
even the
speak.
same
I'm
thing either.
listening.
let me
DNA
give it.
has
Let me give
grown.
an example, bro. Y'all don't let me use this example, but let
Okay,
me
go ahead,
say
go ahead,
this.
go ahead, go ahead.
Let's say somebody comes in and they're Italian, right? They speak Italian. They eat olives and grapes and wine and all this other stuff, and they have kids, and their kids don't speak Italian. They kind of lose their culture and everything from there. Eventually, then they have grandkids. Now the grandkids will get to the point where they don't speak it, and they just look like regular white people. And now, in a lot of ways, you would say their culture was lost. You see, they might not know no Italian words. They might not even like pizza, none of that
I have
kind
a
of stuff.
question, guys.
Not necessarily,
I got
though.
But
I got
would
a
you say?
question.
No. As an
So
Italian,
what would be
but
this
still
person's
that person
culture?
is still white.
I didn't say white.
That
I
Well,
said
person is still
Italian.
white.
we gotta, excuse me, brothers, we gotta realize that when we speaking amongst each other, it's okay to have these conversations to get a clear understanding. But when we go onto the global stage, we have to understand that we aren't biologically adapted to slavery. It's like Ibrahim Traore said, these people see us as nothing but a race of slaves. And a lot of us have embraced that ideology about ourselves, that we can't compete with the Caucasian unless we go by doing it his way and his values and what he thinks and what he says about us.
We'll be
You
mental
know what I'm
defeat.
saying? Which goes
Mental
back to
defeat.
our
Mental defeat.
ethnicity.
That's
Like
true.
you
That's a
said,
good point.
we have an ethnic group to where we have an original language, an original way of being. And a lot of that was stripped from us in the diaspora. So
Right.
it's not a problem to seek to restore that as well as blend that with the things we have learned being in survival mode and creating ways to, bypass all that.
What you
Right.
said,
I agree with you.
What you said is 100% right. Even in Africa, we have this issue. We have that problem.
Right.
Currently, right now.
Right.
We
What
have
problem?
that
That's
same
true.
problem you just said. We have it in
What
Africa
problem?
currently, right now.
That people think that
One
slaves
of the key components
That
of
same problem
culture.
we have in Africa
One of the
right
key
now.
one of the key components of culture is this as well, is the ability to because when basically when you look at even one of the definitions of culture, because I'm looking at these various definitions of culture, and I think I found something that makes pretty good sense, and it talks about like say if you're dealing with cultures as far as like bacteria, like say if you're growing like sourdough bread and all the other stuff, you have to have a certain type of environment that's suitable to the growth of that of that culture. You know what I'm saying? And so when I think of culture, like in order to be able to thrive as far as a people within the context of culture, there has to be a certain level of adaptability. You have to be able to change without necessarily in order to not just survive but thrive while not losing your fundamental integrity as to who you are from your very root at the same time. And that's not necessarily an easy task. And I think that on one end we can be a little bit too rigid and think that we're not supposed to adapt at all, and then in other instances we feel like we we have to be so adaptive that we just basically lose ourselves in the process, and we end up just totally forgetting our root, when it's actually kind of like there's fluidity and stability that has to kind of like happen at the same time when it comes to being able to maintain your integrity as a collective within a certain cultural within a cultural context.
So
So the African American experience, with all of its uniqueness and nuances, should not be dismissed. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the expression of certain adaptations that we've had to make while we're here. But at the same time, if we do that and we forget our root,
Right.
then we're also going to cause
Off balance. That's why
we're going to be off
I
balance.
said balance.
No,
Yeah,
but if
because
you
we
look at
keep a
human
balance.
beings,
You're
right?
chasing
If you
somebody
look at
else.
human beings throughout history, I mean, people are a long way from where they are, and it doesn't make them less successful as a species, right? It doesn't make humans less successful as a species, though. There are cultures from the past that are long gone that we're. So when it comes to, I'm
But
gonna
those
just
cultures still
piggyback on
exist.
what you were
Those
saying.
cultures
Let
still
me piggyback.
exist.
I'm gonna piggyback on what you were saying. Because I think you were saying this. Okay, so the analogy you use of culture, as in a culture you want to grow, right? You want to make the environment suitable for that culture to grow, which happens, right? Sometimes we try to manipulate our environment to accommodate our culture because we develop a relationship with our culture that is very important to us and our our identity, right? So we'll try to manipulate our environment so that our culture can maintain where the environment isn't naturally suitable to the things of that culture, i.e., if we dressed a certain way, we may want to, and hold on, let me finish. We may want to, manipulate the environment to be cooler or hotter or whatever, because this is how we dress. But that's just an example. But the key is to know when change is necessary, right? You don't just hang on to culture for culture's sake. You have to continually, I think, or believe, as a person, you have to continually evaluate the things that are necessary to keep and the things that are necessary to discard.
Right,
Some
right.
things
That's
are
a good
very
point.
That's what I mean
benign.
by
Good point.
balance,
Some
though.
things are
Yeah.
benign and it doesn't matter, right? So you
But
can
I
hold
disagree
on
with
to
you right
certain
there.
cultural
I
elements
disagree with you
for
right there.
like
Not to touch your
centuries.
wisdom.
Wait, let
Let
me
him
finish.
finish, bro.
Hold on, let
You
him
can
Let
finish.
the
hold
brother
on to
finish. Let him
certain
finish.
you can hold on to certain cultural elements like for centuries because they don't make or break, how you adapt to the environment or your survivability in an environment. But then there are other things where you may have to discard because they're no longer suitable to the environment that you're in. And then there are things that you're going to have to adopt, or you're going to have to create new ways,
Adjust.
which may become a cultural norm, because culture is, if I believe culture is just the normal way of behaving over time, which is suitable to the well-being of people, ideally. But we know once that culture is created, we fall in love with it because we adopt it, or it's given to us by our loved ones. So sometimes it's hard to break away from culture, even when it's detrimental, or even when we need to. But I believe culture should be fluid. You should be able to change culture. If you a black man and you go to China, you should be able to adapt to the environment of China and not feel any shame about. I mean, if you can practice certain things because it centers you and grounds you, right? Like your religion and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's also nothing wrong with understanding where you are and adapting to that. Anyway,
Which is why
I'll land right there.
Dianist says
Right.
when Africans from America or Black Americans go to Africa, it's essential that they put their American mindset and tuck that in their pocket and try to adjust to the cultures of the Africans on the homeland, instead of going there with your own mind state, looking down on folks or thinking that you're better than folks because you got the American dollar. No, you need to keep your mouth shut and keep your ears open and try to adjust to the culture of the land and the people of the land in order to fare better. So I get what you're saying, but my whole thing is this: the African American culture was much more well accepted globally in the past with our elders and our ancestors who believed in holding on to whatever remnants of spirituality, ethnicity, and family norms or behaviors that we were able to salvage from the motherland. So those things
Bro,
need
not
to
even
be
just that
cherished and
though.
held on to, as well as groomed and grown into even a more deeper aspect, which is the whole purpose of going to the motherland or Africa to, further evaluate or research why we do some of the things we do here in America. Now, I understand we've created a lot here in America, but like you said, some of the negative or detrimental aspects of our culture here is something that, like oppression, was imposed upon us. A lot of us embrace the negative stereotypes that have been given to us by our oppressors, and we think that's normal. It's not.
Yeah.
And then we say it's culture.
Well,
And the
hey,
question,
perfect. I give a
and the
perfect
question,
example right here, bro. Let me give a perfect example. How many times, without even knowing anybody here, have y'all ever been to like a Thanksgiving or whatever, and all the older people start talking about how they got their ass beat when they was kids and shit, like these crazy whoopings and beatings and shit, and everybody's laughing about it and shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure everybody has those stories, and it's like they take that on as like a badge of
That's
honor and
pride.
shit. It's like,
Yeah.
That's a negative culture, man. That black
No,
people,
Essentially,
that's not. That's how they got to be old.
I disagree. I
That's how they
disagree.
got to be
Nah,
old
nah,
by
There's
nah,
a,
getting
there's a
nah.
disciplined.
there's a
If you
there's a
if
time
you
there's a time and place
if
for
you
there's a time and place for that type of punishment. It shouldn't be abused, but there is a place for that, and we definitely live in a society now where if you
but
even talk
getting
to
hit
certain
upside the
folks,
head
they
that's
with
the
an
shut up.
opposite
iron
I
ain't
heard.
ain't it though, is it?
no
No,
no
no,
it,
no. You
Getting
don't be
hit. I mean,
abusive.
that's
let me
the
tell you
type
You
of
just be
something.
stuff that's
disciplined.
funny. The most ridiculous is often what's talked about. They ain't talking about spankings. They talking about they bragging
Yeah,
and laughing about that time grandma threw the iron, or you know what I mean.
exactly.
Somebody hit
Something
them with
crazy.
some.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
that's not
everybody
They got
culture,
reminisce.
man.
tied in a
That's
Everybody got
chair
a.
and
violence.
shit.
Come on,
Everybody
man.
Yeah,
got
that's
a
not
That
that's not
story.
type of
culture. That's
abuse, though,
violence.
Let's be
that
real.
type
Let's
of
be
abuse
real.
was something else that was
Almost
handed
every
down by Willie
comedian.
Lynch to our
Let's be
people.
real, man. Let's be real, man.
Almost
Sometimes
every comedian got a set where they tell a story. Every black comedian got a set where they tell a story about how horrible they got an ass whooping. But it's funny though, right?
They
And it's
exaggerate it though. They're
also
comedians.
told,
They exaggerate it. They exaggerate
yeah,
those stats.
yeah, but it's
No, but
relatable. It's funny because it's relatable often to the audience, even though
exactly.
exaggerated. There's some element of truth and closeness to reality to it.
Yeah,
So, and I'll say this. It's often told juxtaposed to white culture, right? Oh, white
yeah,
people,
exactly.
they don't do this to their kids.
Put them on
And the
timeout
thought
and shit.
is like, but this is the thing, what's missing is in that equation is the question of, was it productive? Did it help? Right? Because if you went to a prison and you asked most prisoners if they got their ass whipped, most of them would say they did, right?
nah.
So
You can't compare
Nah,
that.
yeah,
You can't
necessarily.
compare that,
I
man.
mean, I
Come on,
might be
Yeah,
come
wrong.
on,
I
come on. You
might be
can't compare
wrong.
that, man.
yeah,
You
Yo,
can't
that's
compare
yeah.
that.
that's a
I might
whole
be
different
wrong, bro.
You can't
thing.
compare
But
Now
that
you, I
because
think you on the
I
Hey,
knew
hey, hey,
I
hey,
knew
guys,
kids.
we got another 30 seconds. Then we got to close out. And I got to read these
man, you
super
can't
chats
compare
before we
that, man.
close out.
You can't compare that, man. Come on, man.
All right, let me read these super chats. Yaya King, thank you for the $2 euros. Don't beg to people to be African. Yaya King, thank you for the $2 euros. They don't want to go to Africa. Not enough whites. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
Peace.